Chapter 498. Tianyan didn't care about Elder Lei's state of mind. He didn't want to argue with Elder Lei. Putting himself in their shoes, if he was also a member of the Phoenix clan, he would also feel some hostility toward a human. The two had different statuses, so naturally, their thoughts were different. The human race was the most numerous, so they were aggressive towards the Divine Beast clan. Therefore, the Phoenix clan was easily captured and had their blood extracted and feathers plucked. It was quite cruel. Therefore, it was quite normal for the Phoenix clan to hate the entire human race. Tianyan continued to crazily absorb the flames outside the Phoenix cave, and continued to go deeper. The more he absorbed, the more he absorbed. Finally, he heard a pleasant voice. Ding! Congratulations to player Tianyan for successfully upgrading the Immortal Flame to high-grade Earth rank. The next level requires 5 million proficiency. He finally succeeded in upgrading it to high-grade Earth rank. This process was quite amazing. If he were to slowly upgrade it through alchemy, it would take a long time. He didn't know how long it would take to slowly reach this level. It's so cool. It would be great if this speed of upgrading could be maintained. Tianyan felt quite comfortable. However, he needed more proficiency now. It wasn't easy to upgrade. No matter what, he had to absorb the Immortal Flame here first. After crazily absorbing all the way, he finally absorbed the empty cave entrance outside. If he continued to absorb, he would go down the passage. However, from here he didn't see the Immortal Flame, but thick Yin Qi. It looked quite gloomy. You don't have to go down. That's the heavenly Yin fire. Even with the Immortal Flame, it's difficult to suppress the heavenly Yin fire, especially since it can't be cut off. The figures of the Great Elder and the others appeared behind him. When they saw that the Immortal Flame was gone, they walked in from the outside. Heavenly Yin fire. Tianyan saw that the heavenly Yin fire was actually equivalent to an enhanced version of the Netherworld fire. It should be said that it was equivalent to a higher level of the Netherworld fire. That was the heavenly Yin fire, which balanced the Immortal Flame. No wonder the Nether Heaven Divine Kingdom said that they could help. It turned out that they could absorb the heavenly Yin fire and the Immortal Flame. As long as one has the powerful heavenly Yin fire, they can devour the Immortal fire. Good boy. I didn't expect you to be able to absorb the inextinguishable fire. It's all thanks to you that we were able to deal with the inextinguishable fire so quickly. Elder Luo laughed and felt that Tianyan gave him a big surprise. If it weren't for him, it would not have been so fast. Thank you very much. I was a little rude before. Elder Lei hesitated for a moment, but he still chose to stand up and express his gratitude, completely putting down his pride. This action was not incited by the Great Elder and the others, but because Elder Lei felt apologetic, which was why he stood up and said it. It's fine. Different people have different opinions. I can understand what Elder Lei is thinking. Tianyan nodded and didn't mind it too much. Yo, Elder Lei, I didn't expect you to be willing to apologize. Elder Luo was a little surprised. Why wouldn't I apologize? Do you think I'm an unreasonable person? I think I made a mistake. Can't I apologize? Elder Lei snorted coldly. Okay, it's my fault. I misunderstood you. Elder Luo patted him on the shoulder and said, Next time come to my place for a drink. When was the last time you came to my place for a drink? Elder Luo, you don't want to hide the wine anymore? Elder Lei's eyes lit up. It seems that I have benefited a little. It's time to celebrate my granddaughter's return. Ahem. The Great Elder coughed, and the two of them immediately shut up. Now is indeed not the time to talk about this matter. Who knew that the Great Elder added? Going to drink wine, why didn't you call me? Tianyan, who was next to him, really didn't know whether to laugh or cry. They are really optimistic. They just solved a small matter, and now they want to discuss celebrating? Although the inextinguishable fire has been cleared, the heavenly Yin fire is still emerging. If the evil soul below is not sealed, the heavenly Yin fire will definitely continue to appear. But in terms of Divine Rune Masters, have you found any Divine Rune Grandmasters? The Great Elder's face turned serious and returned to the topic. There are a lot of new Divine Rune Grandmasters, but their level is too ordinary. At least, they need to be at the Soul Point level. Most of them are at the Soul Point level. It is too difficult to find a divine rune grandmaster. They shook their heads and said helplessly, "We can only wait for news from our clansmen outside. It would be best if we can find one." The divine rune grandmaster level is divided into 3 levels: soul point, eye point, and life point. Different levels represent different levels of standards, and the list is quite detailed. Eye point is the most basic level, soul point is similar to the intermediate level, and life point is similar to the advanced level. The spirit race old ancestor and the state preceptor are at most equivalent to the eye point level, or close to the soul point level. Tianyan feels that he should have reached the eye point level. After all, with the bonus of the heavenly eye, reaching the eye point level shouldn't be a problem. However, he still needs a little more experience to reach the divine rune grandmaster level. He only needs to spend some proficiency points to level up. At that time, combined with the ability of the heavenly eye, reaching the soul point level will definitely not be a problem. He immediately spent more than 100,000 proficiency points on the divine rune grandmaster level. And soon a pleasant voice sounded. "Congratulations to player Tianyan for successfully leveling up Divine Rune Grandmaster Mastery to Divine Rune Grandmaster Mastery, finishing touch level. The next level requires 10 million proficiency points. This is really terrible, 10 million proficiency points. Who knows how long it will take to earn 10 million proficiency points. The road to leveling up is really long. You want to find a soul point level Divine Rune Grandmaster? Actually, I am a soul point level Divine Rune Grandmaster." Tianyan agreed readily. He has to complete this task, if not he won't be able to get the reward. "You are a soul point level Divine Rune Grandmaster?" They all looked at Tianyan in shock. Although they had seen it before, they still looked at him from head to toe, staring at him as if they were looking at a monster. Obviously, they were the real monsters, and the way they looked at Tianyan was more like looking at a monster. "Yes, is there a problem?" Tianyan looked at their shocked eyes and smiled. If anyone heard this, they would be incomparably shocked. "This you are really a Divine Rune Grandmaster?" They searched for a long time, but to no avail. Unless they went to the Nether Heaven Divine Kingdom for help, it was really difficult to find a soul point level Divine Rune Grandmaster. Chapter 499. Yes, I'm a Grandmaster Divine Inscriptionist, and I'm even at the point soul level. Tianyan repeated himself, so that they could hear him clearly. They glanced at each other in dismay. Being able to absorb the inextinguishable flames was already shocking enough, but he was also a Grandmaster Divine Inscriptionist? This couldn't be such a coincidence, right? They just happened to encounter it? "Do you want to test it?" Tianyan laughed. If they didn't trust him, they definitely had to test him. "It's necessary. If you don't meet the standards, your life will be in danger. Hence, we have to do a strict test. This is a responsibility to us, and more importantly, to you." The Great Elder's expression was solemn. They couldn't afford to be careless. If they were to go down, they would be facing an extremely dangerous situation. Although Tianyan was trustworthy, everything had to be tested first. If he didn't meet the standards, it would be troublesome. "Then where do we go for the test?" Tianyan asked. "We'll go outside for the test. As long as you can inscribe a divine inscription that meets the standards of a Grandmaster Divine Inscriptionist, we'll know if you've met the standards." The Great Elder's tone was filled with excitement. If he really met the standards, they would be able to solve the problem immediately. Not only could he control the inextinguishable flames, he was also a Grandmaster Divine Inscriptionist. What a lucky star. When they went out, they saw 2 people walking towards them. Tianyan was stunned when he saw them, and the other person was also stunned. "It's you?" The 2 people walking towards them were none other than Shopkeeper Yi and Pu Run. "Shopkeeper Yi, I didn't expect to see you here." Tianyan smiled. He also saw Shopkeeper Yi carrying a box in his hands. It was the box that he had helped him open earlier. "I didn't expect it either." Shopkeeper Yi was similarly surprised, especially when he came out with the Great Elder. "You two know each other?" The Great Elder and the rest were all astonished. "Of course I do. Grand Elder, the divine imprint on the chest was opened by this little brother. If not for him, I wouldn't have been able to find someone to open it for me," Shopkeeper Yi patted the chest in his hands as he smiled. The divine runes on the chest were opened by him. The crowd glanced at each other in dismay. They all knew how difficult it was to open this box, and had even invited several grandmasters to try and open it. Some of them even tried to smash the box with brute force, but all of them ended in failure. The degree of toughness of the box was simply unimaginable. Yes, I didn't expect him to appear here, and with you in the Phoenix Cave. It's really strange. What's going on? Shopkeeper Yi was puzzled. Shortly after, they roughly discussed the situation. Only then did Shopkeeper Yi understand what was going on. He was even more surprised by Yi Tianyun's ability. Yi Tianyun also knew the identity of Shopkeeper Yi and the others. They were also members of the Phoenix clan, and Shopkeeper Yi was one of the elders, so he was addressed as Elder Yi. Pu Ren was one of the younger generation of the Phoenix clan, and he was considered a good genius. He had been training with Shopkeeper Yi. The main reason was that Pu Ren was Shopkeeper Yi's nephew, so it was necessary to bring him out to train. So there's such a thing. If I knew that he had this kind of ability, I would have brought him here long ago. Shopkeeper Yi smiled and said, but there's no doubt about his divine inscriptions level. He can even decipher such a difficult divine inscriptions. You said that he's at the level of a grandmaster. I've already guessed this before, but since you've already said so, there's no need for me to test him. Shopkeeper Yi was full of confidence in Yi Tianyun. He felt that he didn't even need to test Yi Tianyun. No, the test still needs to be done. I will just carve a simple divine rune, and you will know after seeing it. Yi Tianyun insisted on carving the divine rune to boost their confidence. Immediately, he took out a divine rune brush, which was of a relatively low grade, and began to carve a grandmaster divine rune. His speed was neither fast nor slow, and he succeeded in carving a relatively complex divine rune. After carving the divine rune, everyone's eyes lit up. Yi Tianyun was definitely at the level of a grandmaster divine rune. Perhaps they didn't know how to carve divine runes, but they still understood the level of divine runes. Otherwise, they would have lived for so many years in vain. Not bad, it's really at the level of a grandmaster divine rune, but the divine rune brush is a bit lacking. They all noticed the divine rune brush in Yi Tianyun's hand. A soul tool divine rune brush was no different from garbage in their eyes. Even if it was thrown on the ground, they wouldn't bother to pick it up. A Spirit King stage cultivator was so domineering. It just so happens that I brought back a few divine rune brushes. When someone came to buy my spirit herbs, they gave them to me to pay off the debt. Shopkeeper Yi took out 3 divine rune brushes and lined them up for Yi Tianyun to choose. Come, didn't you want to help us suppress the evil soul? Just pick one. The 3 divine rune brushes were of different grades. The highest grade was a mid-grade sacred artifact, and the lowest was a low-grade sacred artifact. At least, they were much better than the one in Yi Tianyun's hand. Then I won't stand on ceremony. I'll choose this one. Yi Tianyun didn't choose much, and directly chose a dragon beard divine rune brush. It's not the highest grade, just a low-grade sacred artifact. However, this divine rune brush was the most suitable for him. It had the power of a dragon's bloodline, which corresponded to his dragon god's bloodline. Shopkeeper Yi thought that Yi Tianyun would choose a middle-grade sacred tool, as he knew that Yi Tianyun would choose a high-grade sacred tool. Yes, this one suits me. Yi Tianyun didn't hesitate. A sacred artifact divine rune brush, coupled with the talent of the heavenly eye, would undoubtedly make it easier to inscribe divine runes. After choosing the divine rune brush, their eyes immediately turned to the box. This box has been opened. With the treasures inside, it will be much easier to suppress the evil soul. Elder Luo said from the side. Yes, after opening it, I rushed back immediately. Shopkeeper Yi opened the box, and a crazy phoenix fire emerged from it, but it was easily absorbed by him. For him, this was different from the immortal fire, and it was not difficult to suppress it. Without the phoenix fire, what appeared in front of him was a small, fiery red pearl. It looked like a drop of blood essence that had been solidified inside. Phoenix Imperial Blood Essence, top sacred blood, has amazing energy. After absorbing it, the bloodline power in the body will be greatly strengthened, and part of the phoenix's power will be obtained. It can also be used to suppress the power of evil. So it's phoenix blood essence. Yi Tianyan thought it was some kind of treasure, such as a divine artifact. He didn't expect it to be phoenix blood essence, and the phoenix imperial blood essence. Chapter 500. Yes, it contains the royal phoenix blood essence. I couldn't open it, so I couldn't take it out to suppress the evil soul. Shopkeeper Yi smiled. Fortunately, you opened it for me. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to use it here. Why is the royal phoenix blood essence in this box? Yi Tianyan asked curiously. This was sealed by the ancestors. It can only be used at a critical moment. It's just that it's a little difficult to unseal it. The Great Elder explained. Now that we have the royal phoenix blood essence, we can suppress the evil soul. This will undoubtedly reduce the pressure a lot. I've always heard about the evil soul. There are evil soul under the phoenix cave? Yi Tianyan was puzzled. Yes, there are a lot of evil soul under the phoenix cave. A long time ago, there was a race of evil spirit race that attacked our Phoenix clan. In the end, we couldn't destroy them, so we could only choose to suppress them. In order to suppress them, we spent a lot of effort, and many of our relatives left us. The Great Elder sighed. He felt a little pain when he thought of that incident. The other elders showed painful and angry expressions. Fortunately, everything was suppressed. Otherwise, they would have been attacked by the evil spirit race, and their fate would have been even more miserable. Elder Luo sighed, and his eyes showed the same pain. He seemed to be thinking of something, and his eyes were slightly red. This can only be suppressed, not completely destroyed? Yi Tianyan frowned. This meant that after the suppression, once the seal was broken again, it would definitely happen again. No one knew when it would stop. If we could destroy them, we would have destroyed them long ago. We can only use the immortal fire or the phoenix blood essence to suppress them. They are too strong. Even our king can't suppress them for the time being. The Great Elder said. Remember, what about the Phoenix clan's patriarch? Yi Tianyan asked. Our patriarch went out to find a way to destroy them. He hasn't returned so far. If the patriarch came back, he would definitely be able to suppress them easily. There's no need to look for the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom. The Great Elder shook his head. How long has your patriarch been gone? Yi Tianyan was stunned. A patriarch going out personally? This was a bit too exaggerated. It's been a long time. It should have been more than a year. Who would have thought that the seal would suddenly be broken? The Great Elder shook his head, feeling rather helpless. At that time, the seal was quite stable and nothing had happened to it. However, it was broken in the blink of an eye. There was only one possibility, and that was that the evil soul had become stronger. So you're saying that you must use the Imperial Phoenix blood essence to suppress this evil soul? Yi Tianyan asked. Yes, although you have the immortal flame, it is only limited to suppressing the heavenly Yin flame. It is difficult to cause any harm to the evil soul. Look at all those inextinguishable flames, all of them being squeezed out is the best proof. This means that they are too powerful. If you don't use the Phoenix blood essence to suppress them, you won't even have the chance to seal them. The Great Elder said in a deep voice. Those evil souls are too strong. Even if it was us, it would be difficult to resist them. Yi Tianyan's heart skipped a beat. Were these evil souls really that strong? Didn't this mean that they had reached a higher level, the Saint King stage? The Saint King stage was stronger than the Spirit King stage. In this divine kingdom, the Saint King stage was the real king. If I can suppress them with my own strength, will you give me the Imperial Phoenix blood essence? Yi Tianyan thought for a moment and said. They were startled and looked at each other. The Great Elder looked at him and said, if you could suppress them with your own strength, this Imperial Phoenix blood essence wouldn't be a problem at all. However, you don't know how terrifying that place is. It isn't something that can be easily suppressed. Without the Imperial Phoenix blood essence, you can't suppress them. The Great Elder said firmly. He knew that Yi Tianyan's strength was not weak, but it didn't mean that he could suppress them. What if I can? Yi Tianyan was very interested in the Imperial Phoenix blood essence. It might be able to enhance his strength. Yi Tianyan could say this because he had the title of Soulbreaker. As long as the evil souls were filled with evil spirits, he would be able to suppress them. He didn't know if the Imperial Phoenix blood essence would have an effect on the evil souls, but it was better to say it in advance. If they threw it out immediately and found out later that he could suppress it, wouldn't it be a waste? If it's possible, I can give it to you. The Great Elder didn't hesitate and directly promised Yi Tianyan. The others looked at each other. Yi Tianyan was so confident? Well, when are we going down? Yi Tianyan said. Let's not delay. If you don't have any problem, we can go down now. The Great Elder said solemnly. Well, I don't have any problem, let's go down now. Yi Tianyan nodded. This matter should not be delayed. The longer it is delayed, the worse the situation inside will be. Immediately, the Great Elder personally led the way and walked down with the help of his walking stick. At this time, he released his full strength and forced the heavenly Yin fire back. Originally, we needed to use our flames to slowly repel the heavenly Yin fire. Now we need your help. The immortal fire is much stronger than our phoenix fire, and it can restrain the heavenly Yin fire. The Great Elder said in a sincere tone. We will trouble you for everything. After this matter is over, you will always be a friend of our phoenix race. If you need help, we will do our best to help you. Yi Tianyan nodded. He needed this kind of effect. He walked forward and glanced at the heavenly Yin fire. He raised his hand and cast the swallowing heaven divine art again. The heavenly Yin fire quickly rolled over and was absorbed into his body. The people next to him were shocked. They thought that Yi Tianyan would use the immortal fire to kill them. Who would have thought that he would absorb it into his body? Was this not a big deal? 1,000 proficiency points, 2,000 proficiency points, 3,000 proficiency points. His proficiency points increased crazily. The netherworld fire and the heavenly Yin fire belonged to the same type. After absorbing the netherworld fire, it was like a great tonic. Not bad. Absorbing the immortal fire will help the netherworld fire level up. If it can level up this time, it will be perfect. Yi Tianyan's eyes lit up. He just wanted to give it a try, but who would have thought that there would be no problem? Destroying the heavenly Yin fire and absorbing it was undoubtedly more cost-effective. Little brother, is it okay for you to absorb it into your body like this? The Great Elder was worried that Yi Tianyan wouldn't be able to withstand it. They all thought that Yi Tianyan chose to absorb the heavenly Yin fire into his body, and then use the immortal fire to dissolve it. Because no one could have two kinds of flames at the same time. Especially two kinds of flames that restrained each other. Chapter 501. Along with Yi Tianyan swallowed the heavenly Yin fire without any difficulty. Although the heavenly Yin fire's level was high, it wasn't difficult to absorb it, especially with the help of the divine tool, the netherworld pearl. Soon a lot of heavenly Yin fire was absorbed into Yi Tianyan's body. The Great Elder who was standing next to Yi Tianyan was shocked. Is there really no problem? Of course, Yi Tianyan didn't have any problem absorbing the heavenly Yin fire. It would only get stronger and stronger. Yi Tianyan continued to absorb the heavenly Yin fire like crazy. The deeper he went, the denser the heavenly Yin fire became. His experience also soared rapidly. According to this situation, it wouldn't be difficult for him to level up to the heavenly level, as long as he absorbed the heavenly Yin fire for a period of time. As they went deeper, the Great Elder's face became more and more solemn, because they knew that they were about to reach the area where the evil soul was located. Get ready, we are about to reach the seal. The Great Elder said solemnly. They nodded. Yi Tianyan also wanted to see how strong the evil soul was. He wanted to see how strong the evil soul was to be able to put so many Spirit King stage experts on guard. Yi Tianyan had to take a closer look. Soon, after absorbing the heavenly Yin fire in front of them, they changed from a downward passage to a flat road, straight to the front. When he came down, in addition to the terrifying heavenly Yin fire, he saw a lot of divine rune arrays in the distance, which were engraved on the ground and the surrounding walls. Now many of the divine runes on the walkway were destroyed, and even the surrounding divine runes were being burned by the heavenly Yin fire. These divine runes were really hard. Even after being burned for so long, there were still a lot of them that weren't destroyed. In the innermost part of the walkway, there were two huge phoenix statues. One was a phoenix, and the other was a phoenix. Two divine beasts were suppressing a piece of land. The phoenix was a male and a female, so of course there were two of them here. However, their power couldn't completely suppress the evil soul, which caused the heavenly Een fire to continuously emerge from the ground and spread to the surroundings. As it spread, it incinerated the divine veins in the area. And just like that, a path was forcefully burned out. Under the phoenix stone statue is the suppressed evil soul? Tianyun could feel an extremely dangerous aura surging over from the ground. It was rather terrifying. That's not a statue, the Grand Elder said. It really is our ancestor. In order to suppress the evil soul, he transformed himself into a statue to suppress it for all eternity. When the Grand Elder and the others saw the statue, they were filled with deep veneration. If it weren't for them, this place would have fallen into enemy hands long ago. They were fleeing in all directions and had nowhere to settle down. Tianyun looked at the two statues, and his heart was filled with respect. This kind of dedication was worthy of respect. Hehehe, are you guys here? You guys will never be able to suppress me. Soon, I will be able to get out of here. At this moment, an eerie voice came from the ground in the distance and spread throughout the tunnel. The echoes kept ringing in their ears. It was extremely strange. He didn't expect the vile soul to be able to speak. It seemed that the formation wouldn't be able to suppress it for long. If this continued, the vile soul would be able to break free. Bastard! This time, we will seal you again. Next time, we will definitely find a way to destroy you. The Grand Elder shouted angrily. The walking stick in his hand fiercely struck the ground. A ray of light penetrated through the ground and rushed forward. Soon, it hit the bottom of the statue. Bang! It sounded as if it had hit something, but there didn't seem to be any changes. With this attack, you want to hurt me? Let your ancestor come in person. Maybe he can hurt me. You little guy, go back and cultivate for a few hundred years. The evil soul laughed and didn't care about the attack at all. Bastard! The Grand Elder's face darkened. He immediately looked at Tianyun and said, Look at the divine runes here. Can you repair them one by one? As long as the divine runes here are repaired, his strength will be sharply reduced. No problem. Tianyun quickly took out the dragon whisker divine pen. His eyes flashed and he instantly opened his heavenly eye. The surrounding divine runes grand array appeared in front of him one by one. The grand array here was indeed at the level of a divine rune grandmaster. The difficulty was quite high. Without a certain level, it would be really difficult to repair. But he had already prepared for it. There was no problem. After quickly cleaning up the heavenly Een fire here, he immediately began to carve again. The divine runes were quickly repaired. The speed was impeccable. This made them quite satisfied. According to this speed, they would soon be able to repair the divine runes here. As long as they were repaired, there wouldn't be too much danger when they approached the evil soul. Oh, you also found a divine rune grandmaster to repair the divine runes. This time, I won't let you repair them. The evil soul laughed heartily, and a terrifying heavenly Een fire swept over. It quickly turned into a huge black shadow that shrouded them. It was like a huge bat that glided over to them. Even if the evil soul was sealed, the attack it released was still extremely terrifying. Its battle power was as high as 500 million. A casual move could release such a terrifying power. One had to say that this evil soul was really terrifying. If it wasn't terrifying, how could it not be killed? Tianyun's eyes flashed. Just as he was about to mobilize his whole body's power to absorb it, the Great Elder's figure quickly blocked in front of him. The Great Elder fiercely waved his crutch and fiercely slammed it on the ground. A huge phoenix appeared on his body. With a loud cry, the terrifying phoenix fire covered the sky and pressed down. In an instant, its battle power reached 700 million. It fiercely ignited the black fog, but it didn't completely suppress it. The black fog continued to press down. Break for me! The Great Elder roared. He swung the crutch in his hand and fiercely smashed it down. A sharp light split the black fog in the middle. Then a terrifying flame swallowed both sides. In the blink of an eye, the attack was completely swallowed. At this time, the crutch in the Great Elder's hand was no longer a crutch, but a long sword, a divine tool. Oh, your strength is not bad. But can you suppress the speed at which I destroy the divine runes? I want to see whether the person you brought is faster than me in destroying or in repairing." The evil soul laughed loudly. The surrounding mountains shook, and the divine runes dimmed little by little. It seemed that the evil soul was about to break out. It wanted to completely break free from this seal. Chapter 502. After the evil soul crazily released its energy, it came from the ground, so the great clan elder and the others could not resist at all. Unless one suppressed the attack underground, attacking from above would have no effect at all. However, if he were to resist it underground, there would only be one outcome. He would end up like the vile soul, helping to destroy the divine sigil. This would undoubtedly increase the speed of destruction and make matters worse. "Grand Elder, what do we do now? There's no way for us to block this attack unless we get closer and attack. But according to the current situation, if we get too close, I'm afraid." Elder Luo and the others were worried. The situation was critical now. If they didn't take action now, it would be more dangerous. "Looks like I'll have to do it myself." The great elder took a deep breath, and his eyes were filled with determination. He was ready to risk his life. "Great elder." They all revealed looks of sorrow. They didn't want things to be like this at all. "Release the Imperial Phoenix blood essence later. Only then will you be able to suppress the evil soul's power. Then, you can quickly repair the divine veins," the great elder said in a low voice. Great elder." Elder Lei's voice sounded a little strange. "What's wrong?" They all looked at Elder Lei and realized that he was pointing to the side, gesturing for them to look over. Grand Elder and the others turned their heads to look, puzzled, and found that Tianyan had already repaired quite a number of the divine glyphs. His recovery speed was astonishing. It took him only a short while to repair a divine sigil. His speed of destruction was far slower than Tianyan's recovery speed, but it completely crushed the vile soul's destruction speed. It could be said that even a few streets would be considered short. What kind of speed is this? How can the restoration of divine inscriptions be so fast? They were all dumbfounded. They thought that Elder Lei had seen something incredible, but when they took a closer look, it was really incredible. His recovery speed was too terrifying. The speed of his hand drawing was so fast that it left afterimages. It wasn't a big deal that the speed of the repair was fast. The key was that this was a Zongshi-level divine inscription, and it was extremely accurate, without the slightest error. Time and time again, he easily repaired these divine inscriptions. To him, it was as easy as flipping his hand. There wasn't the slightest bit of difficulty. The sound of his experience bar continuously rang out in his ears, signifying the success of the repair of the divine rune. "Congratulations on repairing Grandmaster-level divine inscriptions. You've gained 2 million experience points and 3,000 proficiency points. Congratulations on repairing Grandmaster-level divine inscriptions. You've gained 3 million experience points and 5,000 proficiency points. Congratulations." Every time he repaired the divine inscriptions of different degrees of damage, he would gain quite a lot of experience points. He could not stop at all. Tianyun's strength grew more and more ferocious, and his recovery speed grew faster and faster. His speed of inscribing divine inscriptions was no joke. Even he himself was shocked by this speed. This was the true essence of fast, accurate, and fierce. What's going on? Who are you? How can your recovery speed be so fast?" Vile Soul screamed. He thought that his speed of destruction would be even more shocking. Only now did he realize that the recovery speed of the human before him was even more terrifying. Compared to his destruction speed, Tianyan could repair 4 or 5, or even 7 or 8. This was the difference between them. His previous arrogant tone instantly fell to the bottom. The two of them could not be compared. Tianyan didn't want to waste the Imperial Phoenix blood essence that he was about to obtain. He definitely didn't hold back and burst out with it, fiercely repairing the divine glyphs and suppressing this evil soul. "Let's see how you can compete with me, you trash." Tianyan's eyes flashed. His cultivation might not be comparable to that of the evil soul, but when it came to repairing divine glyphs, he was not inferior. Absolutely no one could surpass his speed. unless a creator-level Divine Rune Master came out. Otherwise, a Divine Rune Grandmaster was trash in front of him. This is impossible. How can the recovery speed of a Divine Rune Grandmaster be so fast? The evil soul really couldn't believe what was happening in front of him. He thought that he could make a comeback, but now it seemed that he was still being suppressed. As more and more divine glyphs were repaired, his strength was being suppressed more and more. The originally extremely terrifying aura was now getting weaker and weaker. If this continued, he wouldn't even need the Imperial Phoenix blood essence to suppress this evil soul. After his aura weakened, the amount of heavenly Een fire that was released became even less. It should be said that the amount that was released was enough, and it couldn't be released continuously. The evil soul also had a limit on his energy. If it was used up, he wouldn't be able to use it again. Because you are too inexperienced, idiot, Etianyan said sarcastically and continued to repair. In this situation, the evil soul began to go crazy. All of a sudden, a lot of heavenly Een fire swept over here. All for the last struggle. However, the Great Elder and the others had already intercepted these several times weaker attacks and suppressed them, blocking in front of Etianyan. Leave this to us, you just focus on repairing. One by one, they blocked in front of Etianyan. Now they were not afraid of the evil soul's power, they could easily resist it. Not to mention that they were not afraid. Etianyan was also not afraid. Under the suppression of the divine rune, his strength was greatly weakened. Originally, he could absorb this attack and continue to repair the divine rune, but after thinking about it, he gave up. At present, he should focus on repairing. He couldn't delay the time to avoid accidents. As the repair speed increased, the evil soul's voice became softer and softer. Its power became weaker and weaker. As long as the divine rune grand array was gradually perfected, its power would be suppressed by a large part. They quickly approached the phoenix statue. At this time, the evil soul's power was not strong, so it was not able to cause any threat to them. This time, it will definitely be suppressed by us again. The Great Elder and the others were happy. It seemed that everything was going smoothly. You trash, don't even think of suppressing me, don't even think about it. The evil soul suddenly formed a phantom in midair. It looked incomparably terrifying. They didn't expect that at the last moment, it could still emerge from the ground and release such a terrifying power. It made the Great Elder and the others' hearts tremble. This was definitely the power of a holy king. Even if it was suppressed, the phantom power that was released still had such a terrifying power. I choose you. Become my fleshly body. Suddenly, the evil soul rushed towards Etianyan. It's too fast. It seems like the evil soul has already finalized this plan. When the evil soul thinks that Etianyan is weak, it will immediately rush towards Etianyan, trying to seize a body to escape from this place, or send part of its soul out of this place. Etianyan's eyes turned cold, and just as he was about to use the devouring heaven divine technique to absorb this evil soul, the title of Soul Ferryman suddenly released a golden light, enveloping him. Bang! The black shadow instantly collided with the golden light, then let out a scream. It was ruthlessly rebounded, hit the wall, and a large part of the wall caved in. Then, accompanied by a scream, it turned into smoke and shrank back. It was obvious that it had suffered serious injuries. Chapter 503. The Soul Ferryman title had no effect on the evil soul's attacks. Even if the evil soul attacked, it wouldn't be reflected back. However, if the evil soul rushed over, it would be equivalent to an evil being getting close to the evil soul. It was just that the Soul Ferryman title was limited to preventing evil beings from getting close to the evil soul. It had nothing to do with killing them. Therefore, the Soul Ferryman title was only used to prevent evil beings from getting close to the evil soul. It had nothing to do with killing them. Now that the evil soul had rushed over, the rebound force was even more terrifying, directly injuring itself and almost turning it into ashes. What kind of power is this? My strength? The evil soul screamed. It was injured by its own strength. Its aura suddenly weakened a lot. It was much weaker than before. If it was previously at the Saint King stage, now it was estimated that it had fallen to the Void Spirit stage. After repairing the divine runes, coupled with the rebound attack, its strength had been greatly weakened. What's going on? The Great Elder and the others were shocked. They really couldn't figure out what was going on. Everything was too strange. They thought that the evil soul would forcibly enter Etienne's body and then forcibly seize it, or forcibly drill into it, and refuse to come out. At that time, even if it couldn't seize Etienne's body, it would at least be able to damage his soul. If the soul was damaged, it would be unable to continue repairing the great array, let alone strengthening the seal. Who knew that the powerful evil soul would suddenly be reflected back? They didn't understand what was going on, and it was already over. Hurry, hurry, hurry up and seal it. At this time, the Great Elder next to him reacted and hurriedly shouted. While the evil soul was weakened, quickly seal it. This way there was no need to use the Imperial Phoenix blood essence to suppress it, undoubtedly playing a role in saving energy. Etienne nodded. He was completely fine. He could definitely continue to repair the seal. He lifted his foot and walked under the statue. There was a huge divine rune grand array here, now almost completely destroyed. If it was maintained for a period of time, it would be completely destroyed. He didn't waste any time and immediately began to repair, without hesitation. He activated the crazy divine rune mode. The repair speed was quite amazing. At a speed visible to the naked eye, the rapid repair, no matter how many times they looked at it, they were still deeply shocked. If other grandmasters were here, they would definitely feel ashamed of their inferiority. If it was a grandmaster grade divine inscription or a 5th grade divine inscription, they wouldn't have any problems with such speed. The majority of grandmaster inscriptionists were able to do this, but to be able to repair a grandmaster level divine inscription in such a short period of time was simply unheard of. Unless the creator-level divine inscriptionist personally came, but this was only limited to legends. No one had ever seen a creator-level divine inscriptionist. All of you stop. Stop. After the vile soul recovered, it saw that the divine glyph formation was rapidly repairing itself, and it began to howl. He didn't want to continue being sealed here. This place was undoubtedly extremely lonely, even more so. It was just that his aura was already incomparably weak. Even if he wanted to struggle and break the divine inscription grand formation, it was already impossible. As the divine rune grand array repaired itself faster and faster, the sound grew softer and softer until it was almost inaudible. I will definitely be able to get out of here one day. No matter what kind of seal you put on me, it won't be able to seal me. The evil soul shouted one last time. Soon his voice disappeared completely. Not a single sound could be heard. As long as he didn't kill the evil soul, he could destroy the seal, and the scene would repeat itself. If he didn't want this kind of thing to happen forever, there was only one condition, and that was to kill the evil soul. However, they didn't have the ability to kill the evil soul right now. However, Etienne was a bit tempted. When his cultivation level increased, he would definitely come back to kill the evil soul. For him, killing the evil soul was equivalent to a lot of treasures. With the appraisal eye, a lot of data appeared in front of the evil soul. Among them, there was an ancient treasure, which was definitely much rarer than the Tyrant Stone Tablet. As long as he killed the evil soul, he would be able to get it. As for the other treasures, there was no need to even mention the divine tool. How could he not want to kill the evil soul? Not only would he be able to solve the Phoenix clan's problem, but he would also be able to earn a lot of money for himself. However, so far, he didn't have the ability to do this. He would have to wait until his cultivation level increased. He was at least at the late Spirit King stage, but it was impossible for him to be at the moment. As long as he had enough strength, he would definitely come back here again. At that time, he wouldn't be here to repair the divine glyph, but to break the divine glyph and let him out. Although he didn't need to fear the evil soul's possession, his attacks were still very terrifying. The key was that he couldn't kill the evil soul, and if it escaped, it would be very troublesome. Done. Successfully repaired the Grandmaster Divine Glyph Array. Reward: 10 million EXP, 10,000 proficiency. This was the biggest Divine Glyph Array he had repaired so far, and it was also the most difficult. The reward was undoubtedly more generous. If he could repair more divine glyph arrays, he would be able to level up easily just by repairing the divine glyph here. Of course, if he wasn't in crazy mode, It would take a long time to repair it, and most importantly, it would consume a lot of energy. Finally, it's done. Etienne's face was pale. He had repaired so many divine glyph arrays in a row, and it was already amazing that he could last until now. The faster the repair speed, the more spiritual power it consumed, especially in terms of mental power. It was even more amazing. This was not calculated according to the time, but the consumption of spiritual power. Even if the repair was completed in 1 second, the consumption of spiritual power still had to be calculated according to the entire divine glyph. After he finished repairing the divine glyph array, he sat in meditation and began to recover. He had consumed too much spiritual power, and the spiritual power in his body was completely depleted. If he didn't recover a bit, he would have a problem walking. The Great Elder and the others looked at each other and didn't say anything, and then began to deal with the rest of the things. After that, there was nothing else to deal with. He just needed to clean up the heavenly fire in the surroundings, or some damaged areas. It was enough to clean up these areas. After a while, when Etienne slightly recovered, he slowly opened his eyes, and at the same time, a pleasant sound entered his ears. Reward, 100 million EXP, 500. 000 crazy points, 100 Phoenix Clan favorability. Completed side quest. Help Phoenix Clan solve the problem. Finally, the side quest was completed. No wonder the reward was not low. The difficulty was still very high. It's just that he didn't get the next side quest, which made him feel a bit regretful. Chapter 504. Little brother, are you awake? This is a recovery pill. Take it quickly. The Great Elder handed a pill to Etienne as soon as he saw him wake up. Etienne immediately sat down to meditate, so they didn't have a chance to talk to him. Thank you, Great Elder. Etienne took the pill without hesitation. This was a 4th grade recovery pill. It was definitely a holy pill. As soon as he took it, a cool feeling poured into his body and quickly restored his spiritual power. It was indeed a 4th grade recovery pill. It was much better than the one he brought with him. Since he had helped them so much, the Great Elder and the others would definitely not be stingy. They would definitely give him what he deserved. You're welcome. We should be the ones saying this. I didn't expect everything to go so smoothly. If it weren't for you, I would have died here. The Great Elder's eyes were full of gratitude. He didn't want to do this either. If he died, he wouldn't be able to continue managing the Phoenix Clan. He wanted to see the Phoenix Clan become stronger in the future. I brought him here. Elder Luo couldn't help but say. Everyone rolled their eyes at him. Why did he keep holding on to this? But they had to admit that if Elder Luo didn't want to bring him here, they would be really busy. Alright, I know you're good. Elder Lei laughed. He was in a good mood. The other elders felt the same way. It was such a big problem, but it was solved so easily. Most importantly, there were no casualties. How could they not be happy? This is your reward. Take it. I said before that if you don't need it, I'll give it to you. The Great Elder took the box and handed it to Etienne. He would never go back on his word. Etienne thanked the Great Elder. Thank you, Great Elder. He accepted the blood essence of the Imperial Phoenix and would see when he could use it, or who he could give it to. This kind of thing that was comparable to a divine artifact, the more the better. You're welcome. In theory, this is not a reward. Go up first. We will entertain you well, and fulfill our duty as a welcome guest. The Great Elder beamed with joy. Putting aside the reward for the time being, he had to entertain the entire Phoenix Clan first. Originally, if he had asked the Nether Heaven Divine Kingdom to help, the reward would have been too shocking. Giving them 20 drops of blood essence was not a big deal. In any case, ordinary Phoenix blood essence was enough. The most important thing was that there were 5 Phoenix eggs. This was too much. Now even if they paid Etienne, they could just give him a few more divine artifacts. Moreover, they did not want to be friends with the Nether Heaven Divine Kingdom, so they would rather give more treasures than to be friends with the Nether Heaven Divine Kingdom. Speaking of which, every time you suppress this evil soul, do you throw in a drop of this Royal Phoenix's blood essence? Etienne asked after thinking for a moment. Yes, This is the only way to temporarily suppress him, and then quickly repair the divine veins. If not, we wouldn't even be able to get close to him. Just the aura he released made it so that we wouldn't be able to approach him easily, let alone focus on repairing his divine inscriptions. The great elder shook his head. I feel that by throwing so much blood essence to the evil soul, it seems to be suppressing him, but in fact, it has evolved to the point where it can gradually devour the blood essence. Tianyan said in a deep voice. Otherwise, how could this evil soul become stronger and stronger? Under the situation where it is sealed, it can continue to absorb energy from below? They looked at each other, and there was a look of horror in each other's eyes. If they thought about it carefully, it was really possible. After such a long time, it might really be possible for the evil soul to adapt to the phoenix blood essence. After being sealed for so long, it is really possible. The evil soul has been sealed for so long, and the energy it can absorb is very limited. Logically speaking, even if it breaks the seal, it should not be so strong. Could it be that what we did before was a mistake? The great elder thought about it, and was a little shocked. No matter what, this evil soul must be eliminated as soon as possible. When the patriarch comes back, we must report this matter truthfully. Elder Luo and the others nodded, and their originally happy expression suddenly became cold. Although the seal was successful, the evil soul was still not dead. If this continued, wouldn't it have to be sealed again? Thinking of this, they couldn't help but look at Tianyan. Immediately, the great elder looked at him and said firmly, "Little friend, if there is a problem with the seal, I hope you can come back and help us suppress this evil soul until we have the ability to eliminate it. Of course, we will give you a reasonable reward, and will never treat you badly." "Of course, Yener is here. I will definitely come back from time to time to see you." Tianyan thought for a moment and frankly said. "In fact, I also have an idea to tell you this time." "What is it?" "You may as well say it. If we can help, we will definitely help," the great elder said in a deep voice. "To tell you the truth, I have a grudge with Ming Chun of the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom. Elder Luo has seen this before," Tianyan said in a deep voice. "So I want to ask for your help to deal with the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom." Their hearts trembled. Dealing with the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom together was equivalent to fighting against a huge divine kingdom. At that time, there would definitely be suffering. "I am not asking you to send a large number of experts to support us, but to interfere with them and prevent them from going to the mortal world. My force is in the mortal world, so I am worried that they will attack," Tianyan said in a deep voice. "In fact, we don't have a good impression of the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom, but it is too difficult to fight with them. There will definitely be countless casualties. We have to think about this carefully," the great elder said straightforwardly. "If it wasn't for our hatred, we really couldn't do this, but it is not a problem to interfere with them. Of course, you are from the mortal world, so you can rest assured about this. It is not so easy to go to the mortal world from the underworld. The stronger the cultivation, the more difficult it is to go up. Mingchen can't go up by himself, but it is not a problem to send some small fries and crab generals," the great elder said. "If two strong experts go to the mortal world, it will easily cause the collapse of the world, so they can't go up. You can rest assured about this. So that's how it is." Tianyan's heart calmed down a little. It seems that Mingchen was just trying to scare him. Tianyan knew that Mingchen was just trying to scare him. "How strong is the strongest that can't go up?" Tianyan asked. "Late Spirit King stage, it's very difficult to go up. Unless you suppress your cultivation, then you can go up. But if they really want to harm you, they will still send early Spirit King stage cultivators or Void Spirit stage cultivators," the great elder said. "I will help you in this regard. If the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom makes any move, I will inform you immediately." "Thank you, great elder," Tianyan said gratefully. "The heavenly netherworld divine kingdom must destroy them." At this moment, a pleasant voice came from above. It was pleasant, but it was dignified. Soon after, a red figure came down from above. Chapter 505. A beautiful woman with fiery red hair walked down from the passageway. Beneath her fiery red hair that reached her waist was a delicate face. However, her beautiful face was filled with dignity. She walked over with a frown on her face. Every step she took seemed to merge with the heavens and earth, giving off a harmonious feeling. Tianyan was even more surprised when he heard the word patriarch. He thought that the patriarch of the Phoenix clan would be a man. He didn't expect it to be a woman. Tianyan looked up and saw the detailed data of the Phoenix clan. 100 Water Phoenix, 7th layer Spirit King stage. Possesses an immortal fire that can destroy heaven and earth. It can be released at any time to burn everything. Has a strong talent. Bone age is 29 years old. Born with Phoenix divine body. Martial arts. Phoenix heavenly drive, Phoenix fire, Phoenix storm, etc. Weakness. Extreme heat and cold attacks. Comprehensive combat power. 4500, 000, 000 normal state. Can be killed to obtain. Tianyan didn't care about the rest of the information. After all, it was impossible for him to kill the 100 Water Phoenix, so whatever she dropped had nothing to do with him. The information was quite eye-catching. Reaching the 7th layer Spirit King stage at the age of 29 was not just heaven-defying, it was simply a super monster. No wonder she could become the patriarch. Not only was she talented, but she also had great prestige. It was really amazing for her to reach this level at such a young age. The requirements to become the patriarch were not necessarily the strongest in terms of cultivation. As long as one's potential was shocking enough, coupled with a good leadership ability, that would be enough. If the person with the highest cultivation could become the patriarch, it would undoubtedly be the Great Elder. The Great Elder had the highest cultivation, which was at the peak of the Spirit King stage. However, 100 Water Phoenix became the patriarch. Patriarch, what did you just say? The Great Elder and the others were shocked. They didn't want to go to war with the heavenly netherworld divine nation. In the end, even if they managed to conquer the nether heaven divine kingdom, the result would be tragic. Probably only a few of them would survive. The heavenly netherworld divine nation was too strong. It was one of the top forces in the divine nation. How could they deal with them? As long as the heavenly netherworld divine nation didn't provoke them, they didn't want to fight against the heavenly netherworld divine nation. If the other party was just a 4th grade force, then it would really be able to help Tianyan intimidate them. There would be no problem at all. I mean, the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom will definitely destroy them. Bai Shuihuang walked over and repeated, What's going on? They were all dumbfounded. They had thought that they had heard wrongly, but now that they repeated it again, they were still shocked. I've been out for so long and investigated a lot of things, especially the situation with the evil spirit race. Do you know who is closest to the evil spirit race? Bai Shuihuang asked solemnly. Heavenly netherworld divine kingdom? Tianyan interrupted. Smart. That's right. They have the closest relationship with the heavenly netherworld divine nation. I suspect that the heavenly netherworld divine nation is a descendant of the evil spirit race. Bai Shuihuang said solemnly. Especially when I heard that you were planning to ask the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom for help when there was a problem here. Fortunately, you didn't ask for their help, otherwise, the Phoenix clan would have suffered a great calamity. When the elders heard this, they immediately broke out in cold sweat. Fortunately, they had refused before. If that was the case, wouldn't they have made a big mistake? Fortunately, we didn't agree to their request. If the price was low, we might have agreed. The Great Elder smiled awkwardly. They were in a very dangerous situation before, and if they continued like this, the heavenly Een fire would erupt from the inside. At that time, they would have no choice but to ask for help from the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom. They knew that you wouldn't be able to break the seal, and they have been intercepting all the grandmasters to prevent them from coming here. When the time comes, not only will they be able to kill us, but they will also be able to make a lot of money, Bai Shuihuang said solemnly. Didn't they specifically ask for a low price and then release the evil spirit? Elder Luo asked doubtfully. Do you think our ancestors' seal is that easy to break? And if we don't watch from the side, do you think they would dare to act recklessly? Bai Shuihuang sneered and said. They might have come here secretly, And although it seems like the seal is sealed, they might have secretly opened a hole so that the evil spirit can sneak out. It's possession. It's very likely to be a possession. Shopkeeper Yi exclaimed. Tianyun was almost possessed by the evil spirit before, but fortunately he was able to bounce back in time. Well, that's it. In addition to using some secret methods, they can also secretly take away a part of the evil spirit. When the time comes, our Phoenix clan will be easily defeated. Bai Shuihuang turned her head and looked at Tianyun and said, I felt that something was wrong, so I hurried back, but I didn't expect that this place had already been suppressed. I heard that it was the work of a human. It seems like it's you. Apart from him, there was no one else here. As long as one wasn't blind, they would be able to recognize him. Yes, it's me. Tianyun smiled faintly. Even if she was a woman, she still looked very reliable. Bai Shuihuang unscrupulously looked at Tianyun from head to toe for a long time, as if she wanted to see through him. Tianyun felt a little embarrassed. Bai Shuihuang doesn't look like a woman at all. Her eyes are like a hooligan's. She keeps staring at him, sweeping back and forth. The great elder next to him was embarrassed, and just when he was about to say something, Bai Shuihuang had already spoken. What's your bone age? Bai Shuihuang asked after staring at him for a long time. I'm 19 this year. Tianyun didn't hide anything. It wasn't a big secret for him, but it was more important to get a better bargaining chip. Only a genius could have an equal right to speak to another genius. 19. All of them were shocked. They thought that Tianyun was at least 30 years old. But who would have thought that he was really 19 years old? It seems like it's the same as what I thought. To be able to repair so many divine runes at such a young age, and reach the level of a grandmaster. Where did your master come from? Bai Shuihuang didn't think that these divine runes were repaired by them. They were not divine rune masters, so how could they repair these divine runes? The mortal world. Tianyun grinned. From the mortal world? Bai Shuihuang was shocked. It was normal for such a genius to appear in the underworld or the heavenly realm, but it was incredible for such a genius to appear in the mortal world. Yes, is there a problem? Tianyun said with a smile. There's no problem. Bai Shuihuang looked around and smiled. Let's go up first, this is not a good place to talk. I agree. Tianyun smiled, and the two looked at each other and smiled, as if they had been friends for many years. Chapter 506. Under the lead of Bai Shuihuang, they returned to the ground. Many Phoenix clan members looked at them worriedly, but when they saw that they were safe and sound, the big stone in their hearts finally fell down. Daddy. At this time Yen'er ran over from the side and threw herself into Tianyun's arms and said tearfully, Daddy, where did you go? I thought you didn't want me anymore. The guard hurriedly caught up with him and said with an ashamed look, Elder Luo, she kept crying there, so I could only bring her here. Who knew? The guard didn't know that Tianyun followed them down, otherwise he wouldn't have brought Yen'er here. Is this Aunt Luo's daughter? Bai Shuihuang was stunned when she saw Yen'er's face, because she looked so much like Luo Huang. Yes, it's Huang'er's child. Elder Luo sighed. Aunt Luo and you. Bai Shuihuang looked at Tianyun in shock. It's a misunderstanding. I just saw her by accident, then I found her mother and accepted her will. Tianyun hurriedly explained. I said that the child doesn't look like you at all. How could it be yours? Bai Shuihuang rolled her eyes at him. Then why did you say that? Tianyun also rolled his eyes at her. Come, sister will take you to play. When Bai Shuihuang reached out and wanted to hug Yen'er suddenly hid behind Tianyun and looked at her. No, I want to play with Daddy. Yen'er didn't want to follow her at all. Bai Shuihuang stared at Tianyun and said, What did you teach her? She doesn't want to follow me. What can I teach her? Tianyun rolled his eyes and said, She doesn't want to follow you. You don't even have any intention of getting close to her. Bai Shuihuang's beautiful eyes flashed, and immediately took out a 4th-grade pill and said with a smile, Yen'er, what is this? The strong fragrance of the pill drifted over, and Yen'er couldn't help but poke her head out, and her eyes lit up as she said, I want to eat this. Then she ran out, snatched the pill, and stuffed it into her mouth. Bai Shuihuang took the opportunity to hug her and said, "Let's see where you can escape this time." Let me go, let me go." Yen Er twisted her body as she ate, completely unaware that she had fallen into a trap. Patriarch. Elder Luo and the others watched from the side and didn't know what to say. Originally, they were going to talk business, but now it turned into playing with children. When I saw Aunt Luo's child, I couldn't help but want to hug her. Bai Shuihuang rubbed her little head and sighed. I thought we would meet again, but now we are separated by life and death. Bai Shuihuang had a good relationship with Luo Huang when they were young, and Luo Huang often took her out to play, but who knew her beautiful eyes were filled with sadness. She felt that everything had happened so suddenly. She coldly looked at them and said, "What is going on? I want to know the details." Bai Shuihuang's eyes were filled with killing intent. Obviously, she cultivated the power of fire, but now she looked at Bai Shuihuang coldly and said, "We want to hold a meeting with all the elders of the Phoenix clan to discuss the details. We also want to discuss the matter of the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom." Elder Luo said solemnly, "According to what you said, Huang, Er's death is likely related to the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom." Elder Luo's eyes flashed with a cold light. According to this speculation, the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom was their biggest enemy, and it was very likely that Luo Huang was attacked by them and then fled to the mortal world. "Well, let's hold a meeting with the elders and tell you all about the things I have learned all these years. I also want to know how to kill the evil soul," Bai Shuihuang said solemnly. The elders' eyes lit up. It would be great news if they could kill the evil soul. "Then I will take Yin Er back." Yi Tianyan felt that he should avoid arousing suspicion. Although he had helped a lot, he was still an outsider. "No, you also have to participate in the discussion, and you are also the hero this time. How can you be absent?" Bai Shuihuang looked at Yi Tianyan, and her expression completely changed. She didn't look as casual as before, and her majesty as a patriarch suddenly appeared. "Well, this Yen Er." Yi Tianyan looked at Yen Er in her arms. "Does he want to take her back to the elders' meeting?" It's fine, it's fine." Bai Shuihuang smiled and took out another pill. She handed it to Yen Er and said, "Here, continue to eat. Elder sister has a lot of these pills. If you play with elder sister will give you a lot of these pills." I want to eat, I want to eat." As expected of a mother who has milk, and now that she has a pill, she immediately agreed. In fact, she felt a familiar aura. Although it was strange, it was still the aura of the same clan. Otherwise, Yen Er would not have asked for Bai Shuihuang's pill. For example, she could usually come out of the pet space, but in front of the humans, she would not choose to come out. She felt that their auras were too unfamiliar, and they were not of the same race, so she would not come out. Yi Tianyan rolled his eyes. He felt that Bai Shuihuang was good at coaxing children. Immediately, Elder Luo and the others gathered all the elders and went to the elders' hall together. Yi Tianyan followed them to the elders' hall. It didn't take long for many elders and deacons to come in one after another. All of them were void spirit stage cultivators. Suddenly, the elders' hall was filled with people. Yi Tianyan glanced around and saw that there were a lot of spirit king stage cultivators. There were at least 8 or 9 of them, and more than 30 of them were void spirit stage cultivators. This was the power of a divine nation. There were too many strong cultivators here, and Yi Tianyan didn't know if there were any Saint King stage cultivators. "Patriarch, should we call the Supreme Elder and the others?" Elder Luo asked in a low voice. "No, they are in seclusion, so there is no need to disturb them. After we finish our discussion, we will pass on the situation here to them," Bai Shuihuang said. Elder Luo nodded and quickly began to make arrangements. After almost everyone had arrived, Bai Shuihuang stood up and looked at the crowd. "Elders, I have inquired about a lot of news over the past few years. Now that I have sorted it out, I would like to explain a few things to everyone. The first thing is that the evil spirit race is related to the heavenly netherworld divine nation. This information is absolutely correct, and we can basically confirm that the people of the heavenly netherworld divine nation are actually the descendants of the evil spirit race. The second thing is that the evil spirit race has always been a big problem for us. Even if we invited the Supreme Elder, he would not be able to kill it. Now we have a way to kill it, and that is the immortal flame. My immortal flame is still too weak, but when my cultivation goes further, I will have no problem killing the evil spirit, so everyone can rest assured. The third thing is that this human friend helped us reseal the evil spirit, and almost let the heavenly netherworld divine nation take advantage of it. For this reason, I feel that he is qualified to be our Phoenix race's divine envoy, so I want him to become our Phoenix race's divine envoy. The three things were said one by one, and each was more shocking than the last. The last thing was that Tianyan became a divine envoy. The Phoenix race had never allowed a human to become a divine envoy before, and the status of a divine envoy was equivalent to that of an elder. Tianyan had helped a lot, but becoming a divine envoy directly set off a storm in everyone's hearts. Chapter 507. Bai Shuihuang's words shocked them one by one. Those who knew about it were still fine, but those who didn't know about it couldn't help but be shocked. Especially when they learned that the evil spirit race was related to the heavenly netherworld divine nation. They were furious. They didn't expect that the heavenly netherworld divine nation was related to the evil spirit race, and they were even their descendants. So the heavenly netherworld divine nation definitely didn't have any good intentions towards them. Back then, after fighting so much with the evil spirit race, they were still able to endure it so patiently. If the Phoenix clan was weaker, they would definitely be completely crushed. The gap between the two wasn't that big, so the heavenly netherworld divine nation didn't make a move. If they really fought, even if the heavenly netherworld divine nation won, they would suffer heavy losses. They were not the only two forces in the ghost world. There were many other divine nation forces. Once they became weak, they would be swallowed up. There were many strong cultivators in the ghost world, and the Spirit King stage was just a cultivation that could stand firm. The real strong cultivators were the Saint King stage. But now most of them were hidden, and they wouldn't come out unless it was a critical moment. Generally, those who had reached this level of cultivation were old experts. If they really fought, they would consume their blood qi. More often than not, it would be a fight to the death. Therefore, Saint King stage cultivators generally didn't participate in battles. Participating in a battle meant that victory or defeat would be decided. I believe that everyone has a lot of doubts. Let's explain them one by one. The heavenly netherworld divine nation must resist, but we can pretend that we don't know anything on the surface, but we have to be careful in the dark. Now is not the right time. If we don't fight against them, the heavenly netherworld divine nation will definitely come to swallow us. According to my information, not only the heavenly netherworld divine nation will join the war, but even the heavenly tiger divine nation will also join forces with the heavenly netherworld divine nation to deal with us. Another piece of explosive news came out, shocking them greatly. Heavenly Tiger Divine Nation, why did they choose to deal with us? We have never had much friction with them. Shopkeeper Yi frowned. This was not good news for them. Elder Yi, do you think that in this world, as long as you stay at home, nothing will happen to you? Bai Shuihuang said indifferently. It seems that you have been living in seclusion for too long, right? Is it because of the Phoenix bloodline? Shopkeeper Yi said solemnly. That's right. Our Phoenix race bloodline is their target. The heavenly netherworld divine nation invited them to deal with it together. How could they not join forces when they have the confidence? Bai Shuihuang said coldly. Not only that, there are other divine kingdoms forces who want a piece of the pie. This information is extremely well hidden. It took me a lot of effort to discover it. This time everyone became silent. Their brows were tightly furrowed, and none of them could bring themselves to be happy. Originally, they were all very happy to be able to solve the problem of the evil soul. But now, after hearing this news, they immediately felt that danger was everywhere. When Tianyan heard this, he realized that the situation of the Phoenix clan was even worse than his own. If it wasn't for the fact that he had a strong foundation, this place would have been in ruins by the time he arrived. It seems that we have to make a good plan and recall all the clansmen. We can't go out at will, Elder Luo said in a deep voice. Now that danger was everywhere, if the clansmen casually went out, it was very likely that they would meet with mishaps. Yes, This is one of the reasons why I asked you to come here. Summon all the clansmen back, to prevent a tragedy from happening. Bai Shuihuang's eyes flashed coldly. This matter had already happened a long time ago, and Luo Huang was one of the victims. It's not difficult to deal with the evil soul. When my cultivation breaks through to the peak of the Spirit King stage, I will be able to kill it. Bai Shuihuang turned to look at Yi Tianyan and said, moreover, he can also control the immortal fire. With the two of us working together, suppressing the evil soul won't be a problem. All of a sudden, everyone's eyes focused on Yi Tianyan, and then back to him again. He can also control the immortal fire? All of them were shocked. Many of them didn't know about Yi Tianyan's situation, and some of them didn't come to help. The main reason was that the Phoenix clan was very big, and they had to stay in their respective positions. Unless the situation was very urgent, they wouldn't go out at will. Yes, please show it to the elders. Bai Shuihuang gestured to Yi Tianyan. Yi Tianyan nodded and raised his hand. The immortal fire rose up, and a burning sensation instantly enveloped the whole room. Everyone looked at the immortal fire in horror. He can really control it. He immediately put it away, and the temperature in the room quickly dropped. Therefore, it's not difficult to kill the evil soul. As long as we both improve our cultivation, we will be able to kill it. Bai Shuihuang couldn't guarantee that the evil soul would still be a terrifying existence after being suppressed for so long. Yi Tianyan didn't have any objection to this. He was happy to deal with the evil soul together with Bai Shuihuang. After all, he wanted to deal with the evil soul before. After killing it, the things that it dropped were quite good, so how could he miss it? The elders nodded and looked at Yi Tianyan a few more times with a little hope in their eyes. The position of divine envoy. This is a lot easier to accept, right? Controlling the immortal fire, helping us suppress the evil soul, and bringing back Aunt Luo's child. This character is definitely able to stand up to the test. Therefore, as a divine envoy, this position is nothing special. Strength. He has the strength of a divine rune grandmaster. Let such a genius become our Phoenix clan's divine envoy. Do you think this position is not worthy of him? Bai Shuihuang's explanation was thrown out one by one, making them accept it a lot. They had to admit that Bai Shuihuang's persuasion ability was very strong. Everyone looked at each other, and Elder Luo and the others smiled. They had already accepted Yi Tianyan in their hearts, so being a divine envoy was nothing special. The position of a divine envoy was indeed equivalent to that of an elder, but it didn't mean that it gave a lot of power. The problem was that if the outside world knew about it, it would cause a huge uproar. The Phoenix clan has always hated humans, and now that a human became a divine envoy, wouldn't it be shocking? This is definitely the first time in history that the position of a divine envoy is given to a human, but no matter what, some rules can't be broken. At this time, an elder stood up from his chair and looked at Bai Shuihuang. He has to go through the test of the Phoenix Mountain, otherwise, I will be the first to disagree with him becoming a divine envoy. This test is necessary, whether it's for outsiders or our own. Bai Shuihuang looked at Yi Tianyan and said, are you willing to become our divine envoy? Yi Tianyan didn't hesitate and said with a smile, it would be my honor. Of course, he was happy to become a divine envoy of the Phoenix clan. It meant that he would have a strong ally. The most important thing was to lay a solid foundation, which would be of great help when he came to the ghost world in the future. Chapter 508. Bai Shuihuang didn't discuss much with Yi Tianyan. She was the only one who spoke, and the matter of Yi Tianyan becoming the divine envoy was finalized. If it was any other place, they would have already been scolded to death, but Bai Shuihuang's mouth was very sharp. Most of the elders didn't come here to give their opinions, but to listen to the announcement. After the announcement, the meeting was basically over. There was nothing else to do, so they immediately entered the discussion room to discuss how to deal with the enemy. They were not safe at all, and they could enter a war at any time, so they had to discuss countermeasures and strengthen the Phoenix clan's defense. The Phoenix clan was facing a combined attack from two divine kingdoms, so they had to strengthen their defense. As a mythological beast, they were indeed very strong, but it was 1 against 2, so the meaning was completely different. While they were discussing countermeasures, Tianyan had already left with Yen. This kind of thing was not something he needed to know. Although he would become a divine envoy, he wouldn't be asked to work for the Phoenix clan, so he didn't need to stay in the discussion room. Moreover, he had not truly become a divine emissary yet, so he still had to come out. If he became a divine emissary, he could choose to listen or not. "Daddy, where are we going to play?" Yenner was unaware of the situation. She was too young, so how could she know the details? "Let's walk around here." Tianyan took her little hand and walked along the side of the sycamore tree. Yenner jumped up and down and pulled him along for a walk. Seeing Yenner so happy, Tianyan couldn't help but wonder if his future children would be as happy as her. Yenner didn't have high requirements. She just liked to walk around and play with the sycamore tree. But soon, a group of children ran towards them, and when they saw Yenner, they couldn't help but blink. "Do you want to come and play with us?" one of the children shouted. Yenner also looked at them, hesitating whether she should go or not. "Come, let's go and play with them." Tianyan couldn't help but smile when he saw his peers. He was just about to ask where he could meet his peers, but a group of children came over. And Yenner finally ran over and played with them. He looked up and found that it was Pu Ren who had brought people over. He looked at them and said, "Don't run around, don't fight, and get along well." Pu Ren looked at the group of children who were running away helplessly. But when he looked at Tianyan, his eyes lit up. He sat down beside him and said excitedly, "Oracle, how did you control the immortal flames? This is something only the patriarch can control." I'll learn it as I practice." Tianyan didn't know what to say. His inextinguishable flame was a gift from the very beginning. Who knew that it would be so domineering? Moreover, it was a top-grade flame. "I'll learn it as I cultivate." Pu Ren was speechless. This explanation was really far-fetched. After thinking for a while, he said, "Divine Messenger, when you return to the mortal world, can you bring me along?" Finally, after chatting for a while, he immediately told the truth. "Take you back to the mortal world? What are you going to do in the mortal world?" Tianyan looked at him and said doubtfully, "The cultivation environment in the mortal world is much worse than here. If you cultivate here, you will be able to break through faster." Pu Ren was still young, but he was already at the 7th level of core transformation stage. If he continued to cultivate here, he would definitely be able to break through to the void spirit stage. If he went to the mortal world, he didn't know how long it would take for him to break through. This time, Pu Ren didn't answer immediately. Instead, he was silent for a while and finally said slowly, "I'm going to find my sister." "Sister? Your sister went to the mortal world?" Tianyan was puzzled. "I don't know. She left home for a long time. I looked everywhere for her, but I couldn't find her. Master and I looked for her for a long time, but there was no news. I thought she might have gone to the mortal world." Pu Ren's unruly expression was actually hiding this thought. "How long ago was this?" Tianyan asked. "Same as Aunt Luo. She disappeared for more than 2 years." Pu Ren said truthfully. Tianyan fell into silence. It was very likely that he was hunted down like Luo Huang, and finally escaped to the mortal world, or died in the ghost world. "I know what you're thinking, but I won't take you to the mortal world. First of all, the elders won't let you go with me. The situation is too dangerous right now. Plus, the Phoenix clan needs more power. You can't leave." Tianyan shook his head and refused. The Phoenix clan was in such a desperate situation. How could they let them go? "But my sister." Pu Ren gritted his teeth. He just wanted to find his sister. "I will pay more attention to this. When I return to the mortal world, I will definitely help you find your sister," Tianyan promised. "Really? Then I'll leave it to you, Oracle," Pu Ren said excitedly. Suddenly, he thought of something and quickly took out a bottle of medicinal pill and handed it to Tianyan. "I don't have any reward. I will give this bottle of medicinal pill to you." The medicinal pill that Tianyan handed to him was of high quality. It was a bottle of void spirit pill, which was very suitable for void spirit cultivators. "No need, you can keep this medicinal pill and use it well in the future." Tianyan immediately refused. It was not useful to him. It was equivalent to a good EXP pill. Divine Messenger, please accept it, otherwise I will not feel at ease. Pu Ren looked at Yi Tianyan with burning eyes. He didn't have any treasure, so he could only give him some medicinal pill. Yi Tianyan looked at Pu Ren's firm eyes and finally accepted the bottle of medicinal pill. Otherwise, Pu Ren would not feel at ease. Well, I will accept this reward. Yi Tianyan smiled. He can only hope that he can find some information. Ding successfully accepted the side quest. Help Pu Ren find the whereabouts of sister. Reward: 30 million EXP 100. 000 crazy point, 300 prestige point, and got the title King of Finder. Yi Tianyan was stunned when he received the side quest. He didn't know whether he should laugh or cry because he didn't know the effect of this title. Only after he got it, he will know what the effect of this title is. Pu Ren took out a painting and handed it to Yi Tianyan. This is the portrait of my sister. Yi Tianyan took it and slowly opened it. He saw a strange face. He was sure that he had never seen it before. Moreover, if he had seen it before, he would definitely know that it was the Phoenix clan. Even if he hid it well, under the appraisal eye, he would still be able to see it. I have a general idea, but I don't plan to return to the mortal world yet. I will definitely send someone to help you find it. Yi Tianyan nodded. Thank you very much, Divine Messenger. Pu Ren said gratefully. I haven't become a Divine Messenger yet. It's not appropriate to keep calling me Divine Messenger. Yi Tianyan said with a smile. Chapter 509. Pu Ren's tone was very certain that Yi Tianyan would be able to pass the test. Since Yi Tianyan was able to suppress the evil soul, he should have no problem passing the test. Then I'll be counting on your words to pass the test. Yi Tianyan smiled and didn't say anything. You don't need to count on me at all. With your strength, you will definitely pass the test. Not only did you master the immortal fire, but you are also a divine rune grandmaster. Pu Ren said enviously. I don't know if I can master the immortal fire. If you are a member of the Phoenix clan, you will definitely be the next patriarch. Is there such a thing? Yi Tianyan was puzzled. Yes, the immortal fire is the absolute sacred fire of our Phoenix clan. As long as a member of the Phoenix clan can master the immortal fire, they will definitely become the next patriarch. As long as they don't have a bad record, the next patriarch will definitely inherit the position. Pu Ren said with a smile. Sister Bai succeeded the position smoothly. Of course, her talent is amazing, and she also knows how to manage the Phoenix clan. She is definitely the leader of our Phoenix clan. She will definitely lead our Phoenix clan to glory. Pu Ren's eyes flashed with admiration as he looked at Bai Shuihuang. Yi Tianyan nodded. It seems that Bai Shuihuang's prestige is not small. It should be said that she has been respected since she was a child. Patriarch. Pu Ren immediately jumped up from his chair and looked at the front respectfully. Yi Tianyan turned his head and saw Bai Shuihuang walking towards them from a distance. Behind her was shopkeeper Yi and the others. It seems that they have already discussed the matter. Pu Ren stood very straight, which made him chuckle. Pu Ren was even nervous now. Compared to shopkeeper Yi, Pu Ren respected Bai Shuihuang more. Little Run, don't be so nervous. Didn't you always play with me behind my back? I haven't seen you for more than a year. Look at how nervous you are now. Bai Shuihuang reached out and patted Yi Tianyan's shoulder. Pu Ren touched his nose embarrassedly and said, No. How could he not be nervous when he was even stuttering? Don't be so nervous, you hear me? Bai Shuihuang stared at him. Yes, Chief. Pu Ren's speech immediately became smoother, but he still stood ramrod straight. It was difficult for him to recover for the time being. Bai Shuihuang smiled and didn't say anything. She turned to look at Yi Tianyan and said, I'll arrange a place for you to rest for a few days. This trial is not easy. Even if you have the immortal fire, it will still be difficult. Yi Tianyan nodded. Since the status of a divine envoy was the same as that of an elder, it would definitely not be easy. All that was left was to rest for a few days. After all, he had just dealt with the evil soul. He really needed to rest for a few days. Otherwise, it would be difficult for him to recover. A few days passed in a blink of an eye. Yi Tianyan had already adjusted his condition to its peak. When he came out, he found Bai Shuihuang playing with Yen happily. Bai Shuihuang's beautiful eyes narrowed into a line as she smiled. It was really hard to tell that she was a patriarch. When she was serious, she was a patriarch, and when she wasn't, she was a beautiful big sister. This suddenly reminded him of Shi Shuiyun. When she was serious, she looked like a palace lord. When she was not serious, she looked like a big sister who cared about him. And Yi Tianyun's heart was filled with warmth. When this matter is over, he will definitely marry Shi Shuiyun. For so many years, she has been so good to him. No matter what, he will take her for himself. This was his possessiveness. He will never give Shi Shuiyun to anyone. Have you recovered? Bai Shuihuang stood up. Yes, I can go to the trial anytime. Yi Tianyan nodded. Well, come with me. Bai Shuihuang didn't forget to bring Yen to the Phoenix Mountain. Yi Tianyan followed behind. Bai Shuihuang, why do you trust me so much? Why do you support me to become a divine envoy? It was the first time we met. Bai Shuihuang wanted to ask this question before, but he didn't have the time to ask. It's very simple. You help the Phoenix clan, you have the immortal fire, and you are very close to Yen. Bai Shuihuang said straightforwardly. After I become a divine envoy, I will represent the Phoenix clan. Why are you so careless? Yi Tianyun's judgment on her is too fast. It's the first time he met her and knew about these things, but he immediately made up his mind. It's really decisive. There is nothing to be careless about. If we let you slip away, it will be the loss of our Phoenix clan. Bai Shuihuang smiled and said, Our Phoenix clan has always believed in one thing, and that is the immortal fire. Whoever possessed the inextinguishable flame would be the future of the Phoenix race. Moreover, they would possess an absolutely upright personality. Although it sounds a little casual, I believe in it. In fact, in the end I like you. That's enough. If I make the wrong choice, it's my responsibility. It's that simple. Bai Shuihuang smiled and pinched Yen's cheeks. What do you think of your father? Daddy is very good. He gave me a lot of fire to eat, gave me a lot of medicinal pellets to eat, and is very good to me. Yen smiled happily and turned to Yi Tianyan. Interesting, very interesting patriarch. Yi Tianyan shook his head helplessly. He really didn't think too much about it. Soon they arrived in front of a mountain. This mountain was the Phoenix Mountain. From afar, it looked like a phoenix was resting, but in the middle of the mountain was a volcano. They landed on the edge of the mountain, and as soon as Yi Tianyan went down, he felt the scorching heat coming from below, but the effect was minimal. Originally, Yi Tianyan had a strong yang flame, so this temperature would not affect him at all. Moreover, his cultivation was not low, so it would not cause any harm to him. Yi Tianyan looked down and found that the most surprising thing about this place was not the volcano, nor the temperature of the lava, but the fire parasol trees that grew on the edge of the volcano. The most important thing was that there were a lot of phoenixes resting on top of the fire parasol trees. So many phoenixes, can't they turn into human form? Yi Tianyan wondered. Yes, they are the most primitive phoenixes. They have not evolved, but they have the purest ancient phoenix blood. Your trial is very simple. You just need to make one of the phoenixes recognize you. Then you can become a divine envoy. Bai Shuihuang smiled and said, but at the same time, you will have to bear the impact of the Phoenix Mountain's flames, so you have to be careful. I can become a divine envoy just like that? Yi Tianyan was startled. He thought that there would be some kind of trial, or a lot of elders ganging up on him. But who knew that it would be to make a divine beast recognize him? Chapter 510. Yi Tianyan thought that it was very simple. In fact, if he used his pet capture skill, the phoenix would definitely become his pet. But this was a bit too much. It didn't feel like he was using his own strength to gain recognition. Moreover, if he used his pet capture skill directly, it might not be successful. As a divine beast, it would be very difficult to capture it. In any case, he didn't intend to use his pet capture skill. He planned to rely on his own strength to gain their recognition. You think it's easy? We phoenixes are very sensitive. We can feel whether your temperament is good or bad, And we can also feel if we are compatible with you. Even we can't easily gain the recognition of this ancient phoenix. Bai Shuihuang explained. You are originally phoenixes, what does it matter? Yi Tianyan shook his head. We are originally phoenixes, but now we can't change back. If we can gain the recognition of the ancient phoenix, it's equivalent to having more combat partners, why not? Bai Shuihuang laughed. Okay. Yi Tianyan thought that they could change back to phoenixes at any time, but it seems that they have evolved too much. It's impossible for them to change back to their original form. At most, they can only grow some feathers, but they can't change back to their original form. Of course, it's not very difficult to change back, but basically no one is willing to change back. Bai Shuihuang smiled and said, it's more convenient to move, so why would anyone want to change back? Their human form is relatively small, but their strength is not reduced at all, so they certainly don't want to return to their original form. At this time, many elders flew over and landed on the side to watch. They all wanted to observe the divine envoy's trial to see if Yi Tianyan could succeed. Patriarch, all of us elders are here as witnesses. We can begin now. They all came to witness Yi Tianyan's trial, and if he succeeds, they will recognize Yi Tianyan's identity. When the time comes, they will announce it to the entire race. Well, you can start now. I hope you can get the recognition of the phoenix very smoothly. Bai Shuihuang said. Yi Tianyan nodded, but just when he was about to fly down, Yin'er encouraged him. Daddy, you can do it. Thank you for your encouragement, Yin'er. Yi Tianyan smiled and flew down. Just as he flew down, the entire Phoenix Mountain trembled slightly. Soon flames erupted from below. As if sensing that someone had barged in, the volcano immediately began to attack. When a terrifying pillar of fire surged up, Yi Tianyan opened his palm and executed the heaven-devouring divine art, absorbing the flames into his body. Obtained 600 proficiency points, 800 proficiency points, 1000 proficiency points. The experience gained from absorbing the flames was considerable. In the blink of an eye, it was all absorbed. These flames were meaningless to him. Whoever wants to be my partner, come over here. Yi Tianyan body's immortal fire emerged. The blazing immortal fire surged around. The domineering immortal fire fiercely suppressed the flames that were ready to rush up. Under this absolutely domineering flame, those lower-grade flames are naturally easily suppressed, unable to set off even the slightest storm. Yi Tianyan had just descended, but he already used such a domineering power to start the battle, which made Bai Shuihuang and the others smile. Using his own strength to attract the phoenix as his companion was a wise move. As a quite spiritual phoenix, its spiritual wisdom is quite amazing, so it will definitely choose a strong person as a companion. If the other party's strength is not even half of their own, how can they fight side by side? This method is good, but we phoenixes don't rely on strength alone to choose our most trusted companion. We are proud phoenixes. How can we casually go over? Especially humans. Phoenixes are born to hate humans. Honestly, going over to choose is the right thing to do. Isn't waiting for the phoenix to come over and choose for themselves a bit too much? One by one, the elders shook their heads at Yi Tianyan's behavior. They felt that Yi Tianyan's action was meaningless. There was absolutely no way a phoenix would fly over to him. One by one, the phoenixes looked up at Yi Tianyan, and after staring at him for a moment, accompanied by a cry, the first phoenix flew over at an unimaginable speed. After the first phoenix flew over, there would be a second one flying toward Yi Tianyan one after another. And Yi Tianyan couldn't stop them at all. All the elders were dumbfounded. How could this be? How is this possible? The phoenix flew directly to him. Why didn't they observe him carefully? Where's the arrogance of our phoenix? Why didn't they observe his character carefully? Oh my God, all of them flew over. What the hell are they doing? All of them were tongue-tied. Nobody expected this to happen. No matter what, the phoenixes should have flown over slowly. Or at least one or two would have flown over to take a look. Now that a group of phoenixes flew over, except for a few that didn't, most of them had flown over. They didn't know that Yi Tianyan's character was extremely high, and he actually looked at his character. This meant that he could crush everything easily. Groups of phoenixes circled around him and cried, as if they were telling him to choose himself. However, no matter how many phoenixes flew over, they could only choose one. After choosing one, the rest would leave. Phoenixes were proud mythological beasts, and it was enough to have one following. Then they would quickly leave without a second thought. Luckily that indigo phoenix didn't choose him. Many of them heaved a sigh of relief when they saw that the indigo phoenix didn't choose Etianyan. This indigo phoenix was perched on the largest fire parasol tree. It was different from the other phoenixes, and one could tell that its feathers were blue. It was very peculiar, and its feathers were blue. Its cultivation was also domineering. It was at level 5 of the Void Spirit stage, and it was much stronger than the other phoenixes. Most of the phoenixes were at the core transformation stage, and very few of them were at the Void Spirit stage. However, this indigo phoenix's cultivation was superior to all the other phoenixes, and it was definitely the strongest phoenix. Moreover, its appearance was unique, and it was definitely the most eye-catching phoenix. So many phoenixes had flown over to look for Etianyan, but this indigo phoenix didn't move at all. It still chose to lie there, and it looked over from time to time, as if it was not interested at all. This made them heave a sigh of relief. At least this indigo phoenix didn't go over, or else they would have lost all their face. Chapter 511. There were so many phoenixes hovering around Etianyan, allowing him to choose freely. It really shocked everyone. They thought that it would be very difficult, and it would take a lot of effort to be recognized. Most of the people who came to be recognized by the phoenixes had to display a set of martial arts, and release their strength to attract the phoenixes. Etianyan just had to stand there and release the immortal fire to attract most of the phoenixes. This was too open and not reserved at all. The elders of the Phoenix clan shook their heads. They felt that these phoenixes were too disappointing. It would be better if they were more reserved. However, the arrogance of the indigo phoenix saved some face. As expected of the indigo phoenix, many people have been challenging it, but they all failed. The 100-water phoenix smiled slightly. This indigo phoenix was very arrogant. Those who came to be the god's messenger wanted it as their mount. However, no matter what they did, they could not get the attention of the indigo phoenix. Come with me, I can give you more power. Etianyan pointed at the indigo phoenix and signaled it to follow him. The indigo phoenix raised its head and looked at him. Its blue eyes were filled with disdain. Who doesn't know how to brag? It did not believe that Etianyan could make it stronger. Etianyan was humiliated. The elders smiled. Although they did not dislike Etianyan and were grateful to Etianyan, it was still a good thing to humiliate him. After all, it was too easy for him to get everything. It would mean that the god's messenger was worthless. Of course, it was only limited to the indigo phoenix. If he wanted to be the god's messenger, he could have become one as soon as he came down. There were so many phoenixes for him to choose from. How could he fail? You have a temper. How about this? Etianyan reached out his hand, and the immortal fire rose up again, and the amazing heat forced the phoenix to retreat a distance away from him. Many phoenixes were not only interested in Etianyan's character, but also his immortal fire. When they cultivated to the peak, they also had the chance to control the immortal flame, so they all wanted to follow Etianyan, who knew that after releasing the inextinguishable flame, the indigo phoenix would still glance at it casually. She was not interested at all, unlike the other phoenixes who had a thirsty look in their eyes. Haha, even the inextinguishable fire is useless. How can the indigo phoenix be moved by the inextinguishable fire? The inextinguishable flame means nothing to it. That's right. It looks like we don't know how long it will take for someone to bring the indigo phoenix away. It's not a good idea to keep staying down there. It's fine. At the very least, we'll let him know that we phoenixes aren't so easily taken away. The elders smiled happily. They felt that Etianyan was doing something useless, and that the indigo phoenix would not be attracted to him. Sometimes, it wasn't just because one's cultivation was strong enough that they would be willing to go with you. Only when their attributes matched would they be able to cooperate well. Your daddy can't tame the indigo phoenix this time. He can only choose the other phoenixes. No one can challenge the indigo phoenix successfully. Bai Shuihuang smiled. Before she came here, she thought that Yi Tianyan would be able to tame the indigo phoenix. She didn't expect him to fail in the end. Daddy won't lose. Daddy will let them know how powerful you are. Bring that big bird here. Yan Er waved her little fist and cheered for Yi Tianyan. Yi Tianyan turned his head and looked at her. He smiled and said, "No problem. I'll bring it here. I'll bring you to the sky to play." The other elders shook their heads. Everyone could say the same thing, but they were afraid that they would be disappointed if they couldn't do it. Immediately, Yi Tianyan looked at the indigo phoenix again and smiled. "It seems like the inextinguishable flame can't attract you. How about this?" With a wave of his hand, the netherworld flame madly rose. The high-grade earth netherworld flame immediately released a cold air in all directions, forcing many of the phoenixes back, not daring to come closer. Under the influence of the flame of the netherworld, the surrounding area was quickly frozen. Even the lava that was about to come out was frozen into ice sculptures. Chirp! The indigo phoenix screamed and stood up from the fire parasol tree. At this moment, there was a pile of ice under its seat. It was obvious that the indigo phoenix had the ice attribute, not the fire attribute. When Yi Tianyan used the flame of the netherworld, many people were shocked. They never thought that Yi Tianyan would have the flame of the netherworld. It was such a cold and gloomy flame. With the inextinguishable flame, how could he have the flame of the netherworld? The answer was that it was possible. Yi Tianyan had completely answered this question. He let them know that he had two types of flames. The key was that one was yin and one was yang. It was really shocking. This is the flame of the netherworld. He can even control the flame of the netherworld. It can't be. He has the inextinguishable flame, and can control the flame of the netherworld. How is this possible? This is unbelievable. He can even control such a cold and gloomy flame. Could it be that he was able to extinguish the fire of heavenly yin previously, because he has the flame of the netherworld? The elders were dumbfounded. They were shocked again. Previously, they were shocked by the phoenix's lack of restraint. Now they were even more shocked that Wang Xian could control two types of flames. This was much more shocking than before. The two types of flames were like water and fire, but they existed in one person's body. The most important thing was that the indigo phoenix flew towards Yi Tianyan without hesitation. It looked at the flame of the netherworld and screamed excitedly, following which, there was a roar from its body. The flame of the netherworld was also emitted and froze the surrounding area. Under the presence of the man and the beast, the scorching volcano suddenly became cold. This was enough to prove how shocking the coldness of the flame of the netherworld was. "Are you willing to be my partner?" Yi Tianyan smiled. He could already tell that the indigo phoenix was actually an ice phoenix. Therefore, the inextinguishable flame was useless. He was just trying to see if he could attract it. It seemed like he still had to use the flame of the netherworld to attract it. Within the Phoenix clan, there were too few who had mutated flames. Therefore, it wasn't that the indigo phoenix was too arrogant. It was because the other party wasn't suitable for it. Therefore, it couldn't follow them. The attributes of both of them were incompatible. When they fought, it would be too restrictive. Therefore, it had to find someone with the same attribute. However, there were too many normal phoenix flames in the Phoenix clan. To the indigo phoenix, it couldn't get along. Therefore, it kept rejecting them. Now that Yi Tianyan had displayed the flame of the netherworld, the indigo phoenix was also excited to display the flame of the netherworld. It indicated that they had the same flame, and could work together perfectly. Hoo-hoo, the indigo phoenix screamed. Such a cheerful sound undoubtedly meant that it had agreed to become Yi Tianyan's pet. "Alright, from today onwards, you are my partner." Chapter 512. Successfully subdued Ice Phoenix. Gained 5 million EXP. Pet Capture Mastery gained 10,000 proficiency. Yi Tianyan never thought that he would get a reward without using his skills. Originally, he thought that he had to use his skills in order to gain EXP, but now it seems that he doesn't need to do that at all. Not bad, not bad. Yi Tianyan gently stroked it, and immediately sat on the ice phoenix. The ice phoenix let out a cry and immediately took him to the sky. In the blink of an eye, it had already rushed to the sky. Its speed was much faster than the other phoenixes. It was very excited. Finally, someone can take it away. How could it not be happy? If there is no oracle to take it away, it can't leave this place. Although it wants to go out, it doesn't mean that it will do as it pleases. Now that it has found something suitable for itself, it immediately chose to follow. After circling a big circle in the air, it quickly flew down and landed beside Bai Shuihuang. Daddy, I knew you would succeed. Yan jumped up and threw herself into Yi Tianyun's arms. Yi Tianyun hugged Yan and jumped down from the ice phoenix. He smiled and put Yan on top of the ice phoenix. The ice phoenix screamed in displeasure. It seems like it doesn't like people other than Yi Tianyun to ride on top of it. Although Yan is a phoenix, it doesn't mean that it can accept her. Hold on tight. If you fall down, I'll teach you a lesson. Yi Tianyun stared at it, and the ice phoenix immediately became listless. It had to lie on the ground to prevent Yan from falling down. Yi Tianyun smiled. The elders around him looked at him up and down, and said in amazement, "What the hell is going on? You can control 2 kinds of flames." Bai Shuihuang also looked at him in shock. She thought that Yi Tianyun couldn't subdue the ice phoenix this time, but she didn't expect that he really could. Then, she also discovered that Yi Tianyun has another secret, the netherworld fire. When I was in the mortal realm, after I absorbed the netherworld flame, I discovered that I could control it. It's that simple. Yi Tianyun's words were half true and half false. After killing the netherworld great emperor, in theory, it was equivalent to absorbing the energy into his body. You can control it just by absorbing it. This is too miraculous. You clearly have the immortal flame, so how can you still have this kind of cold flame? Could it be a dual constitution? Extreme yin and extreme yang constitution? They looked at each other and expressed their own judgment. They felt that it was the only way to obtain 2 kinds of flames at the same time. Otherwise, how could he control 2 kinds of flames at the same time? This should be. Yi Tianyun didn't deny it. What kind of physique did he have? Not to mention 2 kinds of flames, he could even control 10 kinds of flames easily without any pressure. This was all because of the system. He could control as many types of flames as he wanted, and there was no problem with his equipment. Based on their common sense, they would definitely go crazy. This is too magical. Unbelievable. They all shook their heads in disbelief. They had never seen such a situation before, but it happened right in front of them. It seems like it was the right choice to let you become a divine envoy. With such amazing talent, it would be a great loss for us to let you go. Bai Shuihuang said with a smile. She felt that recruiting Yi Tianyun was the right choice. Congratulations on becoming our divine envoy. The elders had to admit that Yi Tianyun was strong. Even the ice phoenix was subdued. They could say that they lost completely. None of the phoenixes were reserved. In the end, they were completely at his mercy. Immediately, Bai Shuihuang handed a token to Yi Tianyun. The token was clearly engraved with the word, Divine Envoy, which represented her recognition of his position here. This is your identity token. From now on, you will represent our Phoenix clan. No matter what you do outside, it is equivalent to representing the Phoenix clan. If you make a mistake, the Phoenix clan will protect you. If you want to fight someone, the Phoenix clan will support you. If anyone dares to bully you, the Phoenix clan will avenge you. Bai Shuihuang used the simplest and most crude words to describe the status of a divine envoy, which made Yi Tianyun laugh. It seems that after becoming a divine envoy, doesn't it mean that I can do whatever I want? Yi Tianyun said with a smile. Almost, but you have to weigh the current situation. If you provoke a divine kingdom, we won't be able to guarantee your safety. Bai Shuihuang said. If he provoked any divine kingdom, how could the Phoenix clan clean up their mess? That's for sure. I never provoke others at will. It's others who provoke me. Yi Tianyun smiled. Thinking about it carefully, it's true. It can only be said that the weak are prey to the strong. They wanted to flatten Yi Tianyun, but in the end, they were flattened by him. I heard that you have a grudge against the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom. So, I'll tell you the general plan. Bai Shuihuang immediately explained the general plan to Yi Tianyan. In fact, it was the same as what they discussed in the hall before. Yi Tianyan nodded and roughly understood the process. In fact, the content was very simple. For the time being, they will pretend that they don't know anything and gradually harvest the forces of the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom in secret. As for his duties, there wasn't much to do. He just had to rope them in. He didn't need to do anything. Although he was a divine envoy, he wasn't a member of the Phoenix clan, so they were embarrassed to ask Yi Tianyan for help. All they had to do was watch the seal. Before they could kill the evil soul, they just had to keep it sealed. That was all they needed to do. To put it bluntly, as long as the evil soul was stable, he could do whatever he wanted. I understand the general plan. I'll keep a low profile. Yi Tianyan knew what to do. At least for now. As long as the Phoenix clan could contain the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom, there wouldn't be any problems. Well, then I'll have to trouble you, Bai Shuihuang said. At this time, a guard quickly flew over and reported. Patriarch, Ming Chen of the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom is here to see you. It seems that he rushed over as soon as he received the news. Bai Shuihuang said indifferently. Well, I'll meet with him now. Patriarch, I'll go with you. Yi Tianyan thought for a moment and decided to go with her to see Ming Chen. Don't you have a grudge against him? What if he finds out? Bai Shuihuang asked doubtfully. It's okay, I have this. Yi Tianyan took out the 100 transformation mask and put it on his face. In an instant, even Bai Shuihuang couldn't recognize him. Chapter 513. After Yi Tianyan put on the mask, Bai Shuihuang looked at him from head to toe, and her beautiful eyes were filled with surprise. Even Yan Er's eyes widened as she stared at him as if she didn't know him. What kind of mask is this? It's so magical. I've seen a lot of these kinds of masks, but I can easily see through them. But this one is very difficult to see through. Bai Shuihuang said in surprise. Can you give me a few more of these masks? I'm willing to pay for them. I only have one. Yi Tianyan shrugged helplessly. This special item can only be used by himself, and he can't give it to others. He can give weapons and the like, but he can't give them to others. After all, these things are a bit special, and they can't be given to others at will. It's just like the evil dragon set. No one else can wear it. It's a pity. If I had this kind of mask, I would be able to go out and mix with other forces at will. Bai Shuihuang shook her head. Yi Tianyan was a little speechless and said, Patriarch, can't you just let the other clansmen do this kind of thing? Isn't it a bit too much to do it yourself? Yi Tianyan didn't know how to do this kind of thing, so he left it to his subordinates to do it. The main thing was that there were enough people to collect a lot of information at once. I'm not just here to collect information. I want to infiltrate the innermost part of the Phoenix clan and kill all the forces that threaten the Phoenix clan. Bai Shuihuang clenched her fists, and her beautiful eyes were filled with killing intent. This killing intent scared Yan Er, and she clung tightly to Yi Tianyan's side. She was very sensitive to this kind of situation, so she was immediately scared. Look at you, you scared Yan. Yi Tianyan patted Yan Er's small head. He knew that as the patriarch of the Phoenix clan, he must be responsible for the Phoenix clan, so it's not surprising that he sneaked into some hostile forces. If it were him, he would have done the same, so there was no problem. I was thinking about something and forgot. Bai Shuihuang looked at Yan Er and shook her head, then immediately said, Then let's go and see what they want to say. Yi Tianyan nodded and handed Yan Er over to Pu Run and the others to play with their companions. Then they went out to the main hall together. As soon as he entered the main hall, Yi Tianyan immediately saw Ming Chen's hateful face, who was sitting on the side drinking fragrant tea. When Ming Chen saw them, his eyes lit up and he quickly stood up to welcome them. It is my honor to be welcomed by the patriarch personally. Ming Chen was accompanied by another strong cultivator, who was at the second layer of Spirit King stage. He didn't say a word to Ming Chen and Ming Chen. Nothing. May I know why you're here? Bai Shuihuang said indifferently. It was hard to tell what she was thinking. It's nothing. I heard from the outside world that you've already resolved the issue with Phoenix Cave. I'm quite happy that it's been resolved. He wondered if the evil soul had been killed or not. Or is it just a seal? Ming Chen smiled and looked very concerned. He even had a happy expression on his face, as if he was really happy that they had solved this problem. This made Yi Tianyun's heart full of disgust. This guy is really good at pretending. If he was so happy, why would he ask for such a high price? Wouldn't it be better to help for free? So what if it was killed? So what if it was sealed? Bai Shuihuang said indifferently. If I remember correctly, the elders in the clan told me that you asked for a sky-high price, which is really difficult for us to accept. What's the problem with coming here now? Bai Shuihuang couldn't help but say it out loud. Our price is absolutely reasonable. It's not difficult to remove the immortal fire and heavenly Yin fire, but it's difficult to kill the evil soul. Ming Chen smiled faintly and said, if it's just to remove the immortal flame, we won't ask for a high price. But to kill the evil soul, we'll have to pay a high price. The elders we send may die inside, so the price won't be low. This time, I came here to ask for the result. If the evil soul is killed, then everyone will be happy and congratulate the Phoenix clan for solving their biggest problem. But if we can't kill it and just seal it, then we will be in big trouble. I have observed it before. Even if we seal it, it will still come out later, and it will be fiercer than before. If it's not killed, we have a way to solve it, and we can reduce the price by half. After all, you have already sealed the evil soul, so it will be a little easier for us to solve it. Ming Chen looked at them with a smile. He didn't look like an enemy, he looked like a friend who wanted to help them solve the problem of the evil soul. Because they knew about the situation of the Phoenix clan, their hearts were filled with disgust. Even Yi Tianyun was disgusted. The price was even reduced by half. If they really let them go, they would be finished. Speaking of this, Ming Chen turned to look at Yi Tianyun and asked curiously, friend, are you the helper that you recently invited? In fact, when Yi Tianyun came in, he could feel that Ming Chen's eyes were scanning him back and forth several times, as if he wanted to see through him. Fortunately, the 100 transformation mask could cover it up perfectly, otherwise it would be really troublesome. Although Ming Chen couldn't tell that it was Yi Tianyun, he could definitely tell that it was not the Phoenix clan. The 100 transformation mask could only change one's face, but it couldn't change one's race. At present, it didn't have this function, but he might be able to get it in the future. Therefore, when he saw that Yi Tianyun was a human, and when the news spread, he immediately believed that Yi Tianyun was the helper that they invited. What's the problem? Yi Tianyun said calmly. Although he had a grudge against him, he had not lost his mind. After all, the matter had not happened yet, so he was relatively calm for the time being. If his cultivation was higher, he would definitely have punched Ming Chen to death. Although he could kill Ming Chen together, it would lead to the attack of the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom. However, in his heart, he had already thought of some ways to deal with it. There's no problem, I'm just asking casually. I wonder if the evil soul has been killed? A trace of killing intent flashed in his eyes, but it disappeared in a blink of an eye. He kept asking about the evil soul because he was worried that the evil soul had been killed. If it was killed, then all his plans would be ruined. It's dead, we've already killed it. Bai Shuihuang said indifferently. She did not tell the truth. There was no need to tell the truth to the enemy. What, it's dead? Ming Chen's eyes were filled with shock, and the cultivators who followed him were also shocked. They couldn't believe that the evil soul had been killed. Chapter 514. Why are you so shocked that the evil soul was killed? Bai Shuihuang looked at them with killing intent in her eyes. If it wasn't for the fact that she was afraid of the heavenly netherworld divine nation, she would have already killed Ming Chen on the spot. Bai Shuihuang's cultivation was much stronger than Ming Chen, so it wouldn't be a problem for her to kill him, but the most terrifying thing was the force behind him. What they needed to do was to uproot the heavenly netherworld divine nation bit by bit. By the time the heavenly netherworld divine nation reacted, more than half of their forces would have already been uprooted. Instead of defending passively, it would be better to attack them directly and let them know how powerful the Phoenix clan was. This is a little surprising. The The Phoenix clan has been unable to solve this problem for a long time, but now that it has been solved, it's a little surprising. Ming Chen said with a smile. Anyway, since the Phoenix clan has solved it, you don't need our help anymore. Please forgive us for disturbing you this time. Don't mention it. We are very grateful that you came here to help us. It's just that we have solved this problem, so we are sorry that you came here for nothing. Why don't you stay here for a few days, and the Phoenix clan will treat you well? Bai Shuihuang said with a smile. She kept emphasizing that the evil soul had been killed by her, which made Ming Chen's face twitch a few times. No need. We came here because we were worried about the Phoenix clan. Now that everything has been solved, we don't need to bother you anymore. Ming Chen said with an apologetic smile. After saying their goodbyes, they hurriedly left. Watching the two of them leave, Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed. If Ming Chen was alone, he could secretly follow them and deal with them. But now there were several Spirit King stage powerhouses, and it would be difficult for him to deal with them. Unless he improved his cultivation, it would be difficult for him to deal with two Spirit King stage powerhouses. It seems that I need to improve my cultivation as soon as possible. There are too many powerhouses here. Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed. His speed was already very fast, but he needed to be faster. He didn't need to reach the Spirit King stage. As long as he broke through to the Void Spirit stage, he would be able to crush Ming Chen. What's wrong? Are you unwilling? Bai Shuihuang said solemnly. In fact, I also want to kill them here, but that will completely expose our actions. Indeed, watching the target swagger out, more or less, is a little unwilling. Yi Tianyun smiled faintly and said, but next time he won't walk out. Bai Shuihuang stared blankly at Yi Tianyun. Yi Tianyun is really a Spirit King stage cultivator? In any case, she couldn't sense it. At most, he was at the Void Spirit stage. It seems like you're very confident. It's really a good thing to have such a strong partner like you. Bai Shuihuang said with a smile. Yi Tianyun nodded and didn't say anything. He felt lucky to have such a powerful partner like the Phoenix clan. With their involvement, it would be difficult for the Nether Heaven Divine Kingdom to attack the mortal realm. Ding. Heavenly Cloud's mansion successfully overthrew the evil faction. Reward, 100 million EXP, 1 million crazy point 50. 000 SPs. Obtained 10 times experience card. Yi Tianyun's eyes lit up when he heard the news. No wonder he heard Su Fei killing a powerful enemy. It turned out that Su Fei had destroyed a bandit's nest. There were too many stubborn forces in the Netherworld continent. If Heavenly Cloud's mansion wanted to establish a stable empire here, they would first have to completely eliminate them. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to establish a stable foothold. It seems like they are also working hard. Yi Tianyun was very pleased. He believed that this was just the beginning, and soon, they would continue to bring more victories. Of course, he got more rewards, but the items he got were limited. If he killed them himself, they would have dropped a lot of equipment. Ding. Heavenly Cloud's mansion successfully overthrew the evil faction. Reward, 80 million EXP, 800,000 crazy point 30. 000 SPs. Yi Tianyun's eyes lit up when he heard the beautiful voice again. It seems like we have to divide our forces into two groups to eradicate different forces. This was the benefit of having a strong force. It was no longer just one team but several teams. Unfortunately, they weren't his commanders, or else the experience they got would be even more amazing. What's wrong? Why are you suddenly laughing? Bai Shuihuang felt strange when she saw Yi Tianyun's sudden smile. She didn't want Ming Chen to leave just like that, but now he's suddenly smiling. How can she not feel strange? Nothing. I just remembered something. Yi Tianyun said with a smile. Well, we are going to start implementing a big plan. I wonder if you would like to join us? Bai Shuihuang asked. What plan? Yi Tianyun's eyes lit up. If the Phoenix clan didn't arrange a plan for him, then he would act on his own. We are going to destroy the heavenly Netherworld Divine Nation's treasury and rob their resources. Bai Shuihuang clenched her fists and said with a smile. I have a rough idea of where the treasury is, but it is difficult to capture it, so we need to sneak in quietly. If you are qualified, I can let you join us. What do you think? Where is the treasury? Tianyan asked. There's no harm in telling you. It's in the heavenly netherworld altar. This is the information I got, and it's very accurate. It's just that it's difficult to break in. Bai Shuihuang shook her head. Heavenly netherworld altar. Tianyun's eyes lit up. He had never been to this place before, but he knew how to get there. Because the place marked on the underworld treasure map was actually the heavenly netherworld altar. This was not difficult to understand. He obtained it after killing Ming Chen, so it must be related to him, so it was normal for the two to overlap. It seems that I have to go this time. Tianyan smiled and said confidently. He was quite familiar with this heavenly netherworld altar. Well, it seems that you are very familiar with this heavenly netherworld altar? Bai Shuihuang asked doubtfully. Didn't you come from the mortal world? Are you familiar with this place? Yes, I happen to know the route to the heavenly netherworld altar. And I also know the internal situation of the heavenly netherworld altar. Do you think I should go? Tianyan smiled. Really? Bai Shuihuang patted Tianyan's shoulder excitedly and said, Good boy, you are really something. If it's true, then it will be a great achievement for you. Tianyan was a little bit hurt after being patted by Bai Shuihuang, but in a blink of an eye, Bai Shuihuang returned to her usual carefree self. Ding. Successfully accepted the quest, capture the heavenly netherworld altar, seize the treasure. Reward, 300 million EXP, 1 million crazy points, 50,000 SPS, 100 Phoenix Clan favorability. Chapter 5:15. After Ming Chen and the others left the Phoenix Clan, their faces were extremely gloomy. The guards behind them didn't dare to ask anything, and just followed behind them. Ming Chen, what should we say when we go back? The man next to him finally spoke. He would only speak when they were out of the Phoenix Clan. It was just that when he spoke, his voice was rather unpleasant to the ears. It was like a broken gong being struck continuously, and it was extremely ear-piercing. His name was Nangong Ming, and he was a powerful expert of the Nangong family. He was also a loyal subordinate of the heavenly netherworld divine nation. What else can I say? Can the Phoenix race really kill the ancestor of our evil spirit race? That's impossible. He is a holy king. He is an immortal. How could he die? Ming Chen was quite unhappy. That was their ancestor. If he was killed, it would affect their plan, and more importantly, their ancestor would die. Their ancestor's death meant that they had lost a super expert. How could they not feel sad? It is very likely that the leader of the Phoenix Clan lied to us. Our ancestor will not die so easily. Nangong Ming said in a deep voice. What if he is really dead? Ming Chen turned to look at his companions and said coldly, If that is really the case, we will definitely be severely punished by the heavenly netherworld holy lord. Nangong Ming fell into silence and didn't speak for a long time. This was indeed a very difficult problem. None of them was willing to suffer the wrath of the heavenly netherworld holy lord. Although they didn't deserve to die, the punishment would definitely not be light. How could a mere human kill our ancestor? Nangong Ming still didn't want to believe it. The ancestor that they believed in was dead just like that. How could a legendary super expert die so easily? Whether it is true or not, we have to go back and discuss this matter. However, it will be difficult for us. Ming Chen frowned. This is all because of you. If the price was lower, we would have entered the Phoenix Clan long ago. Nangong Ming snorted coldly. Now a human has interfered and caused this to happen. Ming Chen said angrily. Didn't you agree to it at that time? Did you try to dissuade me? Nangong Ming didn't refute Ming Chen's words. He remained silent and didn't say anything. They all felt that they were the only ones who could solve the problem. The other humans could not solve anything. Therefore, they raised the price, which led to this outcome. It was really related to their greed. They wanted to solve the problem perfectly and make a lot of money at the same time, so why not? Now that he had lost both his money and his life, he would be punished when he returned. It was truly a tragedy. Alright, since it has come to this, we can only bite the bullet and go back. Whatever Sacred Master Heavenly Netherworld says, we will bear it. Nangong Ming shook his head. He was also guilty of being greedy, so there was nothing to blame. On Etienne's side, the plan was quickly rolled out. There wasn't much time left for them to carry it out. There was more than one plan, but the Heaven Underworld altar was the most important. This time we plan to infiltrate the Heaven Underworld altar. As mentioned before, the Heaven Underworld altar is an important place. Most importantly, it has a lot of resources. The Heaven Netherworld altar has always been the resource transportation point of the Heavenly Netherworld Divine Nation. Therefore, the first thing we need to do is to steal all the resources from the Heaven Underworld Divine Nation. This way, we can deal a heavy blow to the Heavenly Netherworld Divine Nation. Bai Shuihuang looked at the three elders in front of her. In fact, they were all old acquaintances. They were Shopkeeper Yi, Elder Lei, and Elder Luo. If they wanted to infiltrate the Heaven Underworld Divine Nation smoothly, their cultivation must not be low. There was a Spirit King stage powerhouse guarding the place, and if they didn't send a strong elder, they would not be able to return. Before this, the Divine Messenger said that he knows the way to the inside of the Heaven Underworld altar, so I plan to let him go with you. Bai Shuihuang threw out a big piece of news at this time. No wonder Yi Tianyan was standing next to them. It turned out that he was going to go with them. Is this appropriate? That place is very dangerous, and if we are not careful, we may lose our lives there. Why don't you draw a map and let us go there? Shopkeeper Yi stood up, not because of Yi Tianyan, but for the sake of safety. He didn't want Yi Tianyan to die there, and who would seal the evil soul? Don't worry, I won't drag you down. I want to participate in the exploration. Compared to the map, I can guide you more flexibly. Especially the divine runes in the Heaven Underworld altar. Do you think you can break it? Yi Tianyan said. Otherwise, he would miss a lot of EXP and quests. The three elders looked at each other. They really couldn't break the divine runes. Obviously, it was not a problem of the map. It was obvious that there was only one way to go. Even if there was a divine rune, how could they steal anything? Do you think I haven't thought about it? The Heaven Underworld altar is very strict. If it was that easy to sneak in, there would have been a lot of people already. So along the way, you must take good care of the Divine Messenger. Don't let any accidents happen. Bai Shuihuang said. That's not a problem, but first, let's see how good the Divine Messenger is at hiding his aura. Otherwise, it will be more difficult to sneak in. At this time, Etienne's figure flashed and completely disappeared from their sight. They were stunned for a moment. The Divine Messenger's concealment was even better than theirs. The key point is that he didn't use his divine skill. He just hid his aura. It was perfect. What do you think? Etienne's reappearance made them suck in a cold breath. Even more powerful than them. As expected of a divine messenger, his concealment ability is a bit too strong. Their faces twitched. They felt that Etienne was too amazing. How could he do it? If there's no problem, I'll talk about the plan. Etienne suddenly said. Bai Shuihuang was stunned for a moment. She didn't know that Etienne had a plan, so she said, "What plan? Let's hear it." Simply sneak in and rob the resources. I think it's a bit too simple. I want to destroy the Heaven Netherworld altar after I'm done looting the resources. Etienne didn't want to just loot the resources and run away. It would be a pity if I just left like that. Etienne said. He didn't want to just loot the resources and run away. No, I'm afraid that it will alert the enemy. If there are too many strong people besieging us, it will be easy to expose our flaws when we use our full strength. If we are suspected to be from the Phoenix clan, we will be in trouble. Elder Luo immediately retorted. Although he had a good relationship with Etienne, for the sake of safety, he must not expose himself. Chapter 5:16. Etienne's words made them dumbfounded. They thought that Etienne was asking them to destroy the altar together, but they didn't expect that they would stay behind to destroy the altar. When you use your full strength, it's easy to expose your identity, but I'm not worried. The Heavenly Netherworld Divine Nation has a lot of enemies, right? So no matter what moves I use, I'm not worried about being exposed. Whether they had this plan or not, Etienne had to go to the Heavenly Netherworld altar. The reason was very simple. He must go to the Underworld treasure map. There must be something good in the marked place, so how could he miss it? What he lacked now was power and extremely powerful treasures. The heavenly netherworld altar happened to be the territory of the heavenly netherworld divine nation, so he could rob the treasures and destroy the place. You mean after we finish robbing, we will retreat first, and then you will destroy the place? Elder Luo asked again. Yes, is there a problem? Etianyan nodded and admitted. We know that you are not weak, but you are only at the void spirit stage, right? If you encounter a spirit king stage cultivator, even if you have 2 kinds of flames, it will be useless. Shopkeeper Yi kindly advised. We also want to destroy this heaven netherworld altar, but destroying it is too difficult. We can kill a few experts, but we can't. But for the sake of safety, we can't do too much, we just need to interfere with them a little. Once they were discovered, it meant that a war would break out. The Phoenix race was not afraid of anyone, but a perfect plan could greatly reduce the casualties. It was easy to just charge over, and no one knew that. But once a battle broke out, in a situation where both sides were evenly matched, they would suffer heavy losses. The heavenly netherworld divine nation had a lot of people, and many of them were cultivators from the outside, so they didn't have to worry about their lives. For the Phoenix race, every death counted. Their reproduction ability was originally relatively low, so they were extremely cautious. Of course, the Phoenix race was usually not killed. If they could be captured, they would be captured and their essence blood extracted for cultivation. It was definitely a great tonic. Since he said that, it means he is confident. 3 elders, after you finish robbing the resources, come back quickly. As for the divine envoy, just let him do whatever he wants. Bai Shuihuang interrupted. But they were all worried about Etianyan's condition. If he died, how would they deal with the evil soul? Furthermore, the god emissary who had just joined had died. It was too strange and morale would drop easily. No buts, just do as I said. Bai Shuihuang looked at Etianyan and said, You are not a member of our Phoenix clan, so we should not stop you. But if you are caught, I hope you will have your own awareness. Bai Shuihuang looked at Etianyan fiercely. Her words were very straightforward. If Etianyan is really caught, he will kill himself. In short, don't say that it was the Phoenix race, anything else is fine. After all, it wasn't that they were abandoning Etianyan, but Etianyan was acting on his own, and they couldn't help him. Of course, this is my own business, I understand. Etianyan smiled. He was happy that Bai Shuihuang was willing to support him. The 3 elders looked at each other and immediately sighed. It seems that they can only listen to Bai Shuihuang's words for now. After explaining everything clearly, the 4 of them quickly began to act. The 3 elders began to disguise themselves, and from their appearance, no one would be able to tell that they were from the Phoenix race. Unless they used their full strength and released the Phoenix fire, they wouldn't be exposed. Etianyan was the most straightforward one. He just needed to change his face, and the rest didn't need to be changed. Let's go. After preparing, they immediately flew to the heavenly netherworld altar. Originally, they wanted to slow down and wait for Etianyan, but they found that Etianyan could easily keep up with them. When they increased their speed, Etianyan also increased his speed and followed closely behind. Your speed is so fast, is your cultivation really only at void spirit stage? They can feel Etianyan's cultivation. It may not be accurate, but they can vaguely feel that he is at void spirit stage. The aura of a spirit king stage cultivator is completely different. After all, there is a huge difference in aura between the 2. Yes. Etianyan smiled faintly. He has the phoenix wings, so his speed is naturally not much lower than Etianyan's. Ding. Heavenly Cloud's mansion successfully eradicated the evilest forces. Reward, 80,000. 000 EXP 60,000. 000 CPS 30,000. 000 SPs. Ing. Congratulations to player Etianyan for successfully breaking through to 7th layer void spirit stage. Etianyan didn't have to do anything, and he already broke through to the next level. During the preparation period, Heavenly Cloud's mansion has been expanding its forces nonstop, and it has become more and more fierce. Etianyan thought that it would slow down a little, But he didn't expect that Heavenly Cloud's mansion would continue to expand and quell any unstable forces. Tianyan knew that his empire will soon be established, and that day is not far away. At their extremely fast speed, after flying for a few days, their speed soon slowed down. Elder Luo, who was flying in front of them, made a gesture, and they stopped and then landed. In front of us is the heavenly netherworld altar. Elder Luo led them to walk through the forest, and after passing through the forest, they saw a huge altar. It is very huge, like a big city, but this big city is not a real city, but a heavenly altar. The incomparably huge altar was connected to the sky. It was truly connected to the sky. It was extremely grand. Although it is huge, it is not solid inside, but people can enter and exit at will. It can be regarded as a huge city to live in. After seeing it, Tianyan was shocked. This is the heavenly netherworld altar. It is basically a huge temple type. In fact, it is a huge temple, but it was occupied by the heavenly netherworld divine nation. We don't know what era it is exactly. In short, it already existed when we lived here. When Elder Luo and the others saw such a magnificent heavenly altar, they couldn't help but sigh. Yes, this is really amazing. Such a good thing is occupied by the heavenly netherworld divine nation. Shopkeeper Yi shook his head, feeling that it was a pity. Tianyan shook his head and said, "It seems that I can't destroy this heavenly netherworld altar. I can only kill all the way out." When he saw this magnificent temple, he knew that with his current level, he couldn't destroy it at all. He was afraid that he would have to go further to destroy this heavenly netherworld altar. Just the outermost divine rune alone is so obscure that it is probably a creator-level divine rune. So, how can he destroy it? Chapter 5:17. So, the heaven underworld altar was occupied by the heavenly netherworld divine nation, and not created by them? Tianyan looked at this heaven netherworld altar, and his heart was filled with a few thoughts. Yes, the heavenly netherworld divine nation can control the divine inscriptions inside the heaven underworld altar, so they took it for themselves. How could they have created it with their ability? Elder Luo's tone was full of disdain as she looked at the heaven underworld altar. I'm afraid only a divine king can create it. A divine king? Tianyan's eyes lit up. A divine king was stronger than a holy king. It should be the most powerful existence in the world. But they had never seen it. They had disappeared from this world. Some said they had left for a wider world, while others said that all the divine kings were dead. No matter what the rumors were, everyone was in awe. Everyone wanted to be a divine king, but no one had become one. There were quite a few saint kings, but not a single living divine king. This heaven underworld altar could only be created by a divine king. At least, the Phoenix race couldn't create it yet. They all had holy kings, but they couldn't create it. From this, it could be concluded that the heaven underworld altar was created by a divine king. Yes, the divine king level is a legendary level. The patriarchs have always been aiming for it, but it's too difficult to achieve. Elder Luo said solemnly, "The heavenly netherworld divine nation is plundering resources wantonly in order to create a god king. But it's not so easy to become a divine king. There has never been a divine king in the history of the Phoenix race. Is it so difficult to become a divine king?" Tianyan's heart fluttered. He didn't know how he would feel after he broke through. He knew he could break through. As long as he had enough experience, it was only a matter of time. He just didn't know how long it would take. But if he could become a holy king, he felt that he could definitely become an overlord. Yes, it's very difficult. There are so many divine nations, but there is no divine king. That's the difficulty. There are several holy kings, but there is no divine king. It's too difficult to break through, Elder Luo explained. So no matter what, we have to be careful about this heaven underworld altar. Speaking of which, don't you know about the heaven underworld altar? How come you know less than us? I only know the general route. I'm not too sure about the story behind it. Tianyan smiled embarrassedly. It was no wonder that the map in the Netherworld treasure map was so complicated. It could be said that it was several times more difficult than the Coiling Dragon treasure map that he had obtained previously. Fortunately, They mistakenly thought that Etianyan wanted to kill his way out. In fact, his real goal was to destroy the Heaven Netherworld altar. From the name, he really thought that it was created by the Heaven Netherworld Divine Kingdom, who knew that he had only taken it for himself and not created it himself. However, he had previously said that he could destroy divine inscriptions. If he encountered the Creator's divine inscription, things would truly be awkward. He had no way to destroy it. All right then. Are the preparations almost done? We're going to sneak in. I'll leave the rest to you. The three of them looked at Etianyan with determined eyes. They all believed that Etianyan could break in with them. Etianyan was a divine inscription grandmaster. He couldn't possibly lie, right? They were just worried that Etianyan would be in danger. It was not that they didn't trust him. As long as there's life, there's hope. They didn't want Etianyan to lose his life here. No problem. Leave it to me. Etianyan glanced around. This Heaven Underworld altar was heavily guarded. It was not so easy to break in. There were several void spirit experts guarding the outermost area. It was not difficult to solve these problems. However, if they did not find the right place, they would be easily discovered. There are a total of 6 entrances to the Heaven Underworld altar. Each entrance is guarded by a void spirit expert. The inside is also heavily guarded. According to the information we received, there should be about 3 Spirit King experts. One of them is the most famous General Baron of the Heavenly Underworld Divine Nation. He has the pure bloodline of the Dragon Clan. His cultivation is as high as the 5th layer of Spirit King stage. Elder Luo knew that Etianyan only knew the route. He didn't know the details of the situation inside. Therefore, we must avoid fighting with Baron as much as possible. We must try our best to kill him. Otherwise, we will be exposed. Everyone nodded. They roughly knew what was going on. This is the map given to us by the Patriarch. Divine Envoy, take a look at it. Is it different from the one you've seen before? Elder Luo handed the map to Etianyan and said. Etianyan took a look at it and nodded. There's no problem with the map. It's just that it's a bit crude. However, there are a lot of routes. What surprised him the most was that the so-called treasure points were worlds apart from his own. The treasure point drawn in the Ghost World treasure map was completely in the central area. However, the map given to him was completely in the peripheral area. No matter what, let's kill our way in first. No matter which entrance we take, we must deal with a void spirit stage powerhouse. Leave this place to me. My concealment ability is the strongest. I should be able to hide within a range of 2 zhang without being discovered. Shopkeeper Yi stood up and intended to take the lead. He looked at Etianyan and said, Divine Envoy, which entrance do you think we should attack? At this time, they found that Etianyan was resting with his eyes closed. It was as if he didn't hear them. They looked at each other, but they didn't disturb him. They were thinking about which path to choose. In fact, he wasn't thinking about which path to choose at all. Instead, he was using his spiritual sense to explore the area. No matter how perfect it was not as perfect as his teleportation. After a while, he successfully explored the environment inside and locked onto a remote area. Then he opened his eyes. Okay, I know what to do. Etianyan smiled. He was still so confident. Which path to choose? Shopkeeper Yi had a dagger in his hand. It was a high-grade sacred tool. It seemed that he had done a lot of assassination. Catch me, Etianyan said with an inconceivable answer. Choose ha. They all looked at Etianyan in amazement. They didn't know what he meant. Grab my shoulder. Come on. Etianyan gestured them to hurry up. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.